Hi, welcome to the Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut commentary. Here is Jean-François Dugas, the game director on the game, and I'm with
Mary DeMarle. I am the lead writer on the game.
And I'm Jonathan Jacques Belatet, and I'm the art director.
And I'm Steve Shipkowski, I'm the audio director.
And we'll have probably some guests with us today.
What do you mean, almost?
With the first cutscene, well, when we started this project, we were kind of like, it was important to us to have links to the X1, but we wanted it to be subtle. We didn't want it to be totally in your face, even though the first character you see is Bob Sage.
But you're not supposed to know that.
We wanted it to be subtle, so the first thing we did was to do just that.
But what is strange, even with the die-hard fans, when they saw it for the first time, most of them didn't recognize him, even though we tracked back the real actor.
Yeah, we went out of our way to find the real actor. We thought it was important to keep the continuity and to use him, and we thought the hardcore fans would really like it. And I think the plan was to keep the guy really in the shadows.
Yeah.
And I remember I was with Dominique Demas, the lighting guy. I was darker, put it darker, and it was all constantly a debate at how much of his face we should see or not. And that was fun.
More challenging than anticipated. Fortunately, thanks to David, I now know where to look.
Yeah, so now it's the cutscene where we're introducing Adam Jensen. Actually, this TV news is probably the only TV news that has some animated 3D in it, which was the original plan with those TV news. But as we figured out the scope of what we had to produce, and we had so much to do, and with all the other cutscenes and stuff, we quickly realized that we wouldn't be able to.
We wanted them all to be 3D.
I know that when I was writing it, I wanted it to be like, first you wouldn't even know you were watching the news. You were actually seeing like the stuff going on at the Capitol building, and then slowly you realize, oh, it's news. But what we kind of envisioned doesn't always work.
Yeah.
And then with Megan and her necklace, that was another very important part for us because from a story perspective, we wanted to establish something that was a part of her, something that made her human, and that would have on this relevance because eventually we had all these plans that like you might find it in the FEMA facility where she'd been taken and stuff. So it was a very important thing, but I think that we didn't necessarily communicate that.
No,
right away.
this is one of the few little times that me and you didn't talk or something about it because usually things went pretty well in terms of what you wanted and what I wanted. But yeah, so at one point it was like, we had her design down and everything. Megan was pretty much finished in terms of what she would look like. And I think it was either you or Jeff who came up and was like, where's her necklace? I'm like, what necklace? You're supposed to have a pearl necklace. I'm like, really? And I'm like, the whole thing's done. She has this big collar and she's all zipped up. And I'm like, where am I going to put it? It's like, well, just put it over her clothes. I'm like, you don't put a necklace over clothes. But we ended up doing it, which I think looks... I personally think it looks tacky, but it's fine. I mean, it works. It works in the sense that it did the purpose that it had to do.
So now we're in Megan's room.
Yeah, this is Megan's office. Obviously, pretty much the first in-game part of the entire game. This was a pretty important room for us because since the clutter is really important in the game, we wanted to make sure that it was there straight from the get-go. So this is one of the really, really good rooms in the entire game where it's extremely cluttered. That pillar of the art direction was quite well executed.
And the Cyber Renaissance is, you can already feel it.
You can really start feeling it and all that.
It's not the biggest one.
It's not, for Cyber Renaissance, it's not the biggest one, but definitely for the clutter, it's one of the good ones. Now, I have no idea why everybody's so messy in this game, though, and that nobody cleans or puts their stuff in order, but doesn't really matter anyway.
When the end of the world is coming, you
That's
have
true.
other priorities.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Like living your life.
Like living your life and leaving pieces of paper everywhere and stuff like that. They probably don't even know what paper is anymore anyway because they're in their phones and stuff. That's why the paper is all over around. They're like, we don't know what that is.
Now if we look at Megan, like her idle stance is quite awesome.
No,
like,
the idol is...
Yeah,
she's a
I've
sexy
always
kitten.
hated that. I've
A
always
sexy
hated
kitten
that
who wants
when
to
you
go to
turn
the
and look.
bathroom.
Exactly, and I've always hated that. And quite frankly, when I play the game, I like to explore and find the different items, even though I know where everything is. So I purposely don't look at her the entire time.
Yeah, I think it's almost borderline sexist, really, just the way she's
No,
standing
I think
there.
it's out of character.
It's out of character, but it's also
It's
like,
totally out
it's a
of
woman
character.
waiting for a man, and she's like, like, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. But,
Sometimes we know
yeah.
it, but we realize it too late.
Yeah, exactly.
And in this room too, we, like Mary alluded to, we had several pieces of information that actually were kind of selling in advance a little bit the conspiracy and the story twist and everything. And actually, that was a huge debate among the team, among the people in the team, whether we should hide those
How obvious should
items.
they be?
Yeah, do they be obvious or not?
Yeah.
And,
Should it be like, and in fact, I think the achievement you get for getting all of them is old school gamer or something like that, because we
Really?
were, yeah,
I didn't even
because
know
we were
that
thinking
achievement.
that
It's the
we were
point and
thinking
click
that
kind
it's
of,
like a point and click mentality because it's really
It's the-
something that's up to you to decide.
It's the
and
King
find.
Quest achievement.
Yeah, but for me, it was really important that we hide them. But some thought it was maybe too hardcore, and we went into when you get close, you have now the icon that you can press, so now you get the information about
you need that.
So I think it was kind of a fair ground. Yeah.
I agree.
Patient X.
That's nothing, Adam. Just some of the research. Look, we really have to go.
스포일러 여기 다 있죠? 해보신 분들 알 거예요. 이거 스포일러야 완전히. 이 게임을 더 안 해도 되는 이유긴 해요.
And I thought women were the ones who kept men waiting.
페이션트 X는 훨씬 더 감염의 저항력이 건강해. 유전자적으로 우월하다는 거죠. 완전 슈페리어하다는 거. 더 흥미로운 사실은 인공 물질들이랑 이제 거부 반응을 안 일으키는 거야 몸이.
Shouldn't keep him.
대단하죠.
In a second.
워싱턴주 뭐 역사적인 신체 증강 기술 공청회에 대비하다. 지금 공청회가 있어요. 지금 막 뉴스 보면 이거 인공 신체 증강에 대해서 이제 비판적인 여론들이 많아서 청문회 하러 가는 거야. 내일 청문회 날이에요. 사람들 앞에서. 말이 공청회인데 사실상 청문회.
Wow, how long ago was this taken?
In grad school, before I met you.
Back when you were hobnobbing with the rich and famous, I see. I wonder if Mr. Darrow remembers you.
God, I hope not. Be careful with that. It's a first edition. David bought it for me.
You know, you really should get in the habit of locking your computer, Meg.
I know. Frank gets on me about it too. Please, Adam. I'm nervous enough. Hey, stop reading my emails. And I thought women.
환자 X에
men
관한
waiting.
저거죠? 환자 X에 관한 거야?
David's waiting, Adam.
미래 진화 모형의 표본이라는 거예요. Patient X가. 우리는 다 답을 알고 있습니다.
So now we're in Megan's room.
Yeah, this is Megan's office. Obviously, pretty much the first in-game part of the entire game. This is this.
So internally, we've always referred to this section of the game as the walk and talk, and it actually wasn't the
What did you mean
original
back then,
opening
Meg?
for the game.
About
We
how
had
you
a
found it?
completely different idea for the opening to be more of a training mission where you're
something I should know
infiltrating your own company
this
as part of a
place about
security
Sarah.
test. But there was a lot of
remember that.
a lot of discussions among the team, and a lot of people didn't think we could pull that one off, and ultimately we ended up kind of taking a new direction on it and working in this kind of
And
vein.
it became the walk and talk, and actually was a nice way to have a good show don't tell moment, establishing the world and the characters.
And
right off
it,
the bat.
exactly, and at first I was, because I really liked the original idea, so I wasn't really keen for the direction. But then as I started working on the script, I really did kind of start to like how it shows off the world. But I remember the first draft of the script. I think it was Joe who pointed out that we were putting a lot of technobabble in there, and it sounded
like a
much more Star.
It sounded like
Trek.
it was. Yeah, it sounded like it was like a big spaceship that they were running. You know.
So we had to kind of go through extra passes to fix that and to lengthen it.
Here to the right, it's cool. Like we have one of our artists with he wanted to have an homage to the $6 Million Man, which was really cool and showing off that we're not that young.
That
So-
girl is such a bitch there, man, stuff she said.
We had to establish all their characters right off the bat as fast as we could. As fast
And
as
it
we
was
could.
another nice addition about having the VersaLife logo. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes, and the arm. I remember a lot of discussions about this arm because it plays a very important part later in the game, and we really needed to
show
showcase it. And
that's why he has one sleeve and on the other side
Yeah,
he doesn't
yeah.
have anything.
And I remember also with the artist thinking about what the arm should look like because it
Right.
needed to be recognizable
Absolutely.
for when Tongue would have it, but at the same time we didn't want it to be like, I don't know, just like purple or something, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It needed a subtlety and at the same time something
Yeah.
that you would remember.
That's true. And that scene, like with the Claymore explosion,
That's a
it
cool
took
part.
it's really cool. But it took so long before it worked. Like the dolls were always staying in the air or not moving or just falling on the ground. It takes time.
Yeah.
Pleasures
And
of physics.
if I remember correctly, they're going to get into the elevator now. And there was, I think, a lot of technical issues, first of all, with the elevator. But one of the things that we also wanted to do was we wanted to kind of focus. As they get into the elevator, you'll see suddenly we get the camera shot. And we kind of wanted to have this theme running through the game that this is Eliza who is controlling the cameras and watching Jensen all the way from the start.
Spying.
And spying on you. So here, this was a good moment, and my one regret was it was such a great idea, and I think the cinematic director brought it up, but then just unfortunately never carried it through with many of the rest of it.
How far you go?
Yeah, it was a very good idea that
we ended up not really carrying through. Well, you know, we got so
when
much
you've got
to
a
do.
project this big, yeah.
And now
it's
they
hard
talk
to
about
do
the
it.
dog, right? The famous
Oh, that's
dog,
right, the dog. The dog was Adam's dog, yes. That was something when we were working on one of our earliest demos of the game, and we had to fill the world. One of the script writers said we should have this email about Adam's dog, and it should be dead. And I was, you know, at first my reaction to that was, oh, that's terrible, but as long as it's not a cat, it's okay. and
dogs are fine.
And
They
then
can
we
die.
were able to take that and carry it through much more.
Now we get one of our favorite characters.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. And
Right,
this
for
here,
sure.
like, what is really cool is that, just like a real guy, he just looked very, not too subtly,
Fix that
to
firewall,
Megan's ass. And like,
Quick
with-
glance at her butt.
Exactly, and I think
fact
it
that
adds
he- yeah.
authenticity
Plug it.
to
Yeah,
Well,
the
it
fact that he also did it in front of her ex-boyfriend.
It
and
definitely
everything.
tells you a lot about the character right off the top. Like he hasn't even spoken a word yet, and just that action speaks volumes as to his relationship
Sorry if I
with
have to see
Adam.
you too.
Yeah.
It's Andreas.
Yes.
Andreas Asperger's.
Yes.
Asperger's did,
Yeah.
and actually it was quite fun because I think from a writing perspective we really wanted Pritchard to be this dick, and Andreas was so good. He'd come in and he would do this, and after every take he would finish it and go, God, I hate that guy.
And now we hear the
UNATCO theme.
The UNATCO
Yeah,
theme.
I really thought when I heard what Mike had done, there was a chance right there to kind of bring a little homage to the UNATCO theme, and we felt like this was sort of our new UNATCO, and we wanted to just give a little nod to it, and I found it was a great way to showcase into the beautiful room that John and his team designed here.
Yeah, no, and it worked really well because we just past that point now. But when we first walk into the corridor that leads into David's office, is really one of my favorite parts of the game. Just the way you crescendo with the music at that point, and this is one of my favorite rooms in the game as well. And just everything just culminates together, and it's just like
It's very emotional.
it's so emotional.
It's really strong.
Yeah. I think for the story, but also for what we try to put together as a team, it's all there, and I think it's very emotional for us as well, just as a in relation to the project, you know.
Right, absolutely.
Environmental malfunction. Laboratory subsection 6. All lab chiefs, please report in.
We better not take any chances. Not tonight. Use my elevator to get down there. You know the code?
Yeah, 0451.
Let me know what you find. Athena, get someone to shut off the damn racket.
Yes, sir.
Pritchard, where's Megan? She report in yet?
Her GPL implant shows her moving through the microchem labs. I think she's running.
Damn it. Must have been a serious equipment failure. Can you get eyes on her?
I'm trying, but the intellicams aren't responding. There's interference coming from somewhere. Find out what's happening, Jensen. Hurry!
Pritchard? Pritchard!
아까 코멘터리 떴었는데? 들어볼까?
So this section where the attack takes place, originally what we had wanted to have was that you would actually go back through the area that you saw through the walk and talk, and kind of do that kind of whole Half-Life thing where you take the descent down and then you fight your way back through everything you saw earlier. But apparently remind me again, JF, I think the original walk and talk was not designed.
No, the layout was built in such a way that it was just made to be controlled, not to have a player have total freedom.
I mean, we would have had to change it a lot to make it
gameplay
kind of acceptable, and then we wouldn't have recognized it as the walk and talk.
Because even there are some places we didn't put collisions or
exactly.
anything.
So in that sense, then we had to kind of refigure a bit of the story in terms of. Actually, it came in better for us because then when you come later into Seraph Industries and you see the signs, you see parts that are under construction, and it's because it's where Megan went to in the elevator ride. So it ended up working out pretty good for us.
No! No! Oh my god.
So here in this room we see for the first time the two Black Ops killing a scientist that he falls off the guards and everything, and that has been a crazy ride just to get this thing working. We were on the verge of cutting it because it was really hard to have those scripted events working with the environment and with the physics and everything. It has been a nightmare, and I fought until the last minute to make sure that we get this in, and finally it worked.
It worked really well.
It was
I don't think most people realize, most gamers, how hard it is just to put things like this. I mean, depending on the engine that's being used, but how hard it can be to have those scripted events going. It's just one guy being pushed over, railings, but it's
especially when you don't have the tools,
and if you don't have the tools.
And on the audio side, we worked really hard. Like for me, it was a huge thing to try and really sense the show don't tell of the terrorist attack happening. So like as you're walking and you're coming across dead bodies and that, I thought it'd be cool if we could hear the sort of the violence and the killings and all that before you see it, and then when you'd come around the corner you'd see the bodies laying there, and it would kind of put it in context. It didn't come out as hot and sexy as I hoped and wanted, but it came out really cool, and again there was certain limitations we had to deal with that was behind it, but the team came together and pulled out something that was really close to what we wanted.
문 열어 빨리. Oh no. 그렇지. 나이스. 터치다운. 예. 잘했어. Oh shit. 이거 하드 난이도인 걸 까먹었다. 어렵죠. 그냥 삐끗하면 죽는 거야 그냥. 삐끗하면 골로 갑니다. 물론 중간에 하다가 어려우면 난이도 조정할 거야.
So the goal of this cutscene was really to surprise the player and get him. And I've always hated that shot of Megan because it makes it look like, what the heck is she doing while this terrorist attack is going on? It's supposed to be, is she a part of it? Whatever. She should have been cowering in fear. But for the most part, I think this cutscene did.
Bad for her. Yeah, that's true. It's almost gruesome.
And you can really understand all those arguments.
That I really hated. I really don't like the green acid. It's like so like Saturday morning cartoons. Like look, it's all green.
Like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And here Namir is going to come to us, and originally it was supposed to be in gameplay, and actually we had
move the camera and everything.
Yeah, we had a working prototype, but hey. So yeah, with the opening credits, actually, it seems like people really liked it. Our original inspiration was to kind of the James Bond movies, the $6 Million Man trying to showcase this augmented character and everything, but we wanted it to be really stylish, really like a James Bond movie. Sometimes they go beyond, they go in the abstract.
It's very stylized.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's actually more stylized than what we did. But no, it works really, really well. And I think Steve A, the sound, the track that's on it is just completely insane. By the way, that's a pig. Sorry, I cut you. But when we see the thing cutting the flesh, it's actually a real piece of pig that was bought.
When I saw the visuals, I mean, I was really impressed. It looked really cool, and I thought it was going to be really important to sort of nail it with the right music tone, because I think something that wouldn't have worked as well might have undersold the power of the scene, but it was really powerful. When I put the music to it with the visuals, I was just kind of like, yeah, this couldn't work any better. Mike McCann, the composer, just really hit this one out of the park, and the reaction we got when people saw it and heard it, they loved it right away. Even I think Goldtooth, the people who produced the
who actually put it together,
they came back right away saying the music track is just selling this whole thing. It's bringing it all together.
It really was. And I remember the dialogue in this is so funny because the dialogue is so short and so simple, but you needed it to convey basically some of the hinting of what's going on with Sarah forcing the augmentations, but also we wanted it to sound like a real surgery and the kind of thing. So I remember giving it to one of the writers on staff and saying, could you kind of write these opening lines and stuff, and he was going on and researching all about operations and CCT scans and all these things, and in the end those little details are so important just to make it and pop it. Even if you can't hear it, it works.
백그라운드가 주인공 개 작살이 났네요. 불쌍하고.
So yeah, Jensen's coming back from the dead, and now is going to come. Well, we see now that Eliza is still watching him, and now we'll see him close his shades for the first time. Now he's closing on himself.
And he's closing. Exactly. That was the idea, right? That he's kind of like now he doesn't really like what's happened to him, and he's a bit kind of
self-conscious.
He's self-conscious and making a little shield around him from the world.
The eyes are really close to the soul, but
the eyes
we cover them up.
Yeah, he protects himself.
Yeah.
Adam, it's David. You in the building?
Just entered the lobby.
Sorry to pull you out of sick leave so soon, but we've got a situation. A break-in at our Milwaukee Junction factory. Meet me at the helipad.
I have to see Pritchard first. Something's wrong with my retinal enhancement.
Frank's on the second floor in the tech lab. Make it quick. People's lives are at stake.
My God. Mr. Jensen, I didn't think you'd... Wow. I guess you hear about the break-in. Did you need directions or something?
It hasn't been that long, Cindy. I may not look the same, but my memory's pretty intact.
Oh, I didn't mean... I mean, of course, your memory's fine, sir. It's just that things have been switched around a lot ever since the...
Ever since the first attack?
Yes, sir. The lab floors were pretty much demolished. We're rebuilding them, but most of our researchers are working off-site now. Everyone else has been shuffled around, so if you need help finding someone...
I don't suppose we moved the helipad, did we?
I don't see how we could have moved it. Oh, you're teasing me. Very funny, Mr. Jensen. Go up the stairs to the second floor, then around the cafeteria to the exit. I think I saw Farida heading there earlier.
You said everyone's been moved around?
Almost everyone. Who were you looking for?
Has my office been moved?
No, sir. You still have that great view of the lobby. Mr. Pritchard wanted it, but Mrs. Margulis put a stop to that. Up 2 floors and make a right.
I need to get to Seraph's office.
Oh, he and Mrs. Margulis are still in the penthouse. You can use the elevator at the left wing of the building to get there.
Thanks.
That's what I'm here for. Anything else, sir?
Where's the tech lab?
It's not really a lab, sir. It's more of an office with a lot of computer equipment shoved in it. Mr. Pritchard complains about it all the time. Go up the stairs behind me and take a right. You'll find it near the end of the hall.
I'll find my way.
If you say so. It's good to have you back, sir.
나도 반갑다.
Yes?
We haven't heard from anyone in the line.
Design and manufacture of advanced mechanical augmentations for human implantation. In other words,
Apparently he's called in the big guns.
by allowing Pine,
Okay,
your car
bye.
lights have been left on. Currently employing Pine, your car lights are on. We are dedicated to innovation while upholding a reputation for
1,500명 고용밖에 안 했어? 더 고용해야 하는 거 아니야 이 정도면? 15만 명인 줄 알았는데 1,500명? 이런 대기업이? 1,500명 고용했다고? 이게 말이 돼?
science and technology. We are also proud to present Vista, the world's most advanced corneal replacement technology. At Seraph Industries, Andrew Van Wessel, please report to the Human Resources Office.
그렇다 하니까 뭐 넘어가겠습니다. 원래 이런 거 제가 디테일하게 안 봤는데 좀 감독판으로 플레이하면서 제가 코멘터리도 저기 온 해놨으니까 이런 거 디테일하게 한번 좀 봐볼게요. 왜냐하면 이 게임이 진짜 그 아트 디자인을 잘한 걸로 좀 유명하거든. 디테일해요. 이런 것도 사람들이 안 볼 것 같은 것도 디테일하게 다 만들었어.
Boss? You're back. The new look suits you. Guess you'll be hanging around the tech boys a little more now, huh?
새끼들이.
Man, I didn't believe it when they said you were coming back, boss. Not the way you were busted up.
Not sure how I feel about this memorial.
What do you mean? The least we can do is remind everyone of the sacrifices our scientists made for this company. For the world, even.
Yeah, it's the reminding part that bothers me. I've been in therapy for months trying to forget that night. Seeing the bodies coming out all burned up like that.
I wasn't there, but I heard it was gruesome.
Megan, Eric, Vasily, the whole team gone in one awful flash. How could this have happened?
The how is not important anymore. We need to honor them by being true to their vision. Show those terrorists that they can't stop us from finishing the job. Jensen, good to have you back, man. I can't tell you how relieved we were to hear you were going to make it.
I'm sorry. I can't imagine how difficult it's been for you. You probably just want to forget, huh?
여기 없어진 직원들인가 봐요. 지금 여기 있는 게. 여기 사진 안에. 스토리상 다 중요한 사람들이죠. 다 알고 있읍시다.
Jensen? Isn't it a bit early to toss him back into the trenches?
I hear he's almost fully recovered.
His body accepted augmentation with remarkable ease, but that doesn't mean he's fine. We don't know what happened when he didn't swallow.
The Mexican town massacre wasn't his fault.
Why was he kicked off the force? I'm just saying he's too much of a risk.
Welcome back, Mr. Jensen. The new look suits you.
Jensen? Didn't hear you coming. You should probably be heading for the helipad, don't you think?
Care to repeat what you were saying about me to my face, Peterson?
Hey, listen. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm just tense about the Milwaukee Junction situation. Everybody is.
And you think telling people that their chief of security isn't up to the job is a good way to make them feel better?
No, that's not what I... Look, Jensen, everybody here knows what happened to you 6 months ago. Normal people don't recover from augmentation surgery this fast.
I guess I'm not normal then.
Apparently not.
Glad we could clear that up. Oh, and for the record, I wasn't kicked off the force. I quit.
That's not what the papers said.
The papers lie.
So probably, depending here on how you played, you might have gone or not in the ladies' restroom. And eventually, if you go meet Pritchard, he will comment on that. So
Frank tells me he's still waiting for you, Adam? You don't have time to mess around. Get to the tech lab, or something seriously bad is gonna happen.
그 여자 장실 참을 수
So
없지.
probably, depending here on how you played, you might have gone or not in the ladies' restroom. And eventually, if you go meet Pritchard, he will comment on that. So for the old fans of Deus Ex, for us, it was just a way to pay an homage to this kind of similar scene in the X1.
And pay an homage to perverts.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we put the conversation that's going on there. And I
To
remember,
attract
and I
people.
remember watching some of the people here testing jumping to see if they could see the women inside the restroom.
And you added a sound about like, if you jump a couple of times, like, is it someone here or something?
Possibly. To be honest, I don't really remember. I just remember that I loved the delivery of the actor Pritchard when he just adds casually, and you might want to stay out of the women's washrooms. And it was,
and when
well
he did
written
it,
and well delivered.
Yeah, and actually, I remember when we recorded it, they recorded it, and they were like, "That was just a joke line, right? I mean, that's not going in the game, is it?" You're like, "No, that's real. It really will happen."
안녕하세요. 시원하신가?
Jensen? God, man. Didn't expect to see you back so soon. Are you here because of the break-in?
Mr. Jensen, you're looking well. Did you come in to find out about the break-in? I'm sure Athena and Mr. Seraph know what's going on.
Holding. Yes? Sounds like extremists, but I don't know. No one does.
Oh man, look at this. I didn't think we'd see you for another 6 months. No matter what Sarah said.
오셨어요? 아, 엄마 아니야?
Sorry, Mr. Jensen, I'm really busy. The media is looking for reactions on the break-in, and Lyle's got me fact-checking for him.
아니 안 먹어요.
So here we're in front of one of Sarif's employees, and he's called Will Rossellini. And actually, he was our consultant on augmentation in the game. And what is really cool about this, how it came to be, is that one day we were working and we received an official letter by this guy presenting himself and everything in the field he was working in and everything. And he said that it could be really an asset to us to work with the augmentations and
because
stuff.
he was a huge fan of Deus Ex, and
Exactly.
he really wanted to make sure that the level of scientific knowledge
얘네가
was
먼저 고용한 게
accurate
아니구나.
and into it to make that fiction feel even more real.
자기가 이 게임
So we
팬이라서
contacted
자원한
him,
거구나
and
하고 싶다.
therefore we started this collaboration, and now he was more into your
Yeah,
turf.
and he really helped me a lot because we we would have just been doing research ourselves, but you're never really sure what's right. But having an expert in the field who can actually kind of help guide us and correct things and help with a lot of the technical jargon that we were working with was really good. And then I remember kind of thinking as we were coming up with Seraph's offices and the employees and needing names for people, I was like, we should see if Will wants his name on one of those doors. So I sent him an email and I said, hey, would it be okay if we gave you an office? And he was like, oh my God, that would be so cool.
Because it's a biotech company, you know, so like that's what he does.
Exactly. And then it actually worked out that he was involved in some of the mystery of the theft. And I said, we're actually probably going to accuse you at one point and make you a suspect at one point. Is that okay? And he's like, oh my God, that it would be so amazing. So it worked out really well for us, I think.
He's a very interesting guy. Didn't he used to play baseball or something?
Yeah, he was in the MLB at some point.
MLB?
With Arizona, I think. Can't remember exactly.
What is that? I'm not really familiar with baseball. Was that like the league right before the big league or something?
No, it's the big league.
Major
League. MLB.
MLB, Major League.
Oh,
yeah.
Like he was in the real thing.
You know, like with a ball and a baseball bat.
Yeah,
that's
like Seraph has
the
in
thing
his
that like
office?
lasts forever and nothing happens.
No, that's soccer.
Oh, that's.
Won't be long. The boss called in a specialist.
Yeah, and Seraph HQ, when I saw it, I was pretty impressed with it. It was really quite the achievement visually, and just everything you had in there. There was so much exploring to do, all the pillars you could get the history from, you could get the history of augmentation and the work Seraph had done. So I knew for the exploring type players, they were going to spend a fair amount of time here. So it was a bit stressful in coming up with the track for this. I just remember telling Mike, I want something really cerebral and subtle, something that can easily just slip into your back consciousness while you're playing, and you would only notice it if we took it away. And
it's kind of melancholic, right?
It is. It's got a very melancholy, almost a bit of a sad feel to it.
Is that the same track that we ended up putting on a website on the Seraph Industries website, like viral website that we did?
I think so. It's the same track that we use as the menu track, because it just... we were going to compose a menu track, but in the end, we just felt this track was really strong, and it represented, I don't know, it sort of encompassed something of the game that was important, and it felt okay to put it as the menu track, because it's almost like Seraph HQ, you visit it 3-4 times in the game, and again, you know, when you're going to revisit an area and you're coming back with the same music, you're really hoping people aren't like, oh, not this again. So, you know, I was fully aware of that all the time and a bit stressed out about it. But again, credit to Mike and the work he did. He came back with a track that, for me, it fit perfect. And based on the comments that were positive that people came back with, we actually said, well, let's throw it in as the menu track because people seem to really like it and it seems to work.
Adam, you're in today too? I guess Seraph called you about the Milwaukee Junction affair?
Jensen? Wow. I mean, Sarah spared no expense putting you back together, I guess.
Christ, Adam, while you were strolling around the offices, the situation got worse. Meet me in the chopper, I'll explain.
화났어. 빨리 갈게요. 기다려봐.
So with this one, the Final Fantasy poster, it was quite an adventure.
Yeah, that's one of the concept artists who had this idea, and he just he's like, you know, it was not too long after we were bought by Square Enix, so he had the idea to do this little poster, and it's Final Fantasy 27, obviously, because the game takes place in 2027, and he just put it like this for the fun of it, and it became something really, really big because we wanted to keep it. But, you know, the way Square Enix works, you know, they're very serious about the license and whatnot. So he actually went up all the way to Wada-san to be approved
and ask him
to leave there. And he actually had to show it to some of the artists and some of the art directors of the franchise so they could approve that it, you know, it had something that had to do with the game. And what's funny as well is if you look at the poster, the head of the lady is hiding the numbers, and there's actually not enough space for the numbers if you actually try to imagine them there, which doesn't work, but whatever, it's still there. Yeah.
아, 그래서 약간 미묘하게 숨겨놨구나, 저작권 문제 때문에. 혹시라도.
So with this one, the Final Fantasy poster, it was quite an adventure.
Yeah, that's one of the concept artists who had this idea, and he just he's like, you know, it was not too long after we were bought by Square Enix, so he had the idea to do this little poster, and it's Final Fantasy 27, obviously, because the game takes place in 2027, and he just put it like this for the fun of it, and it became something really, really big because we wanted to keep it. But, you know, the way Square Enix works, you know, they're very serious about the license and whatnot. So he actually went up all the way to Wada-san to be approved
and ask him
to leave there. And he actually had to show it to some of the artists and some of the art directors of the franchise so they could approve that it, you know, it had something that had to do with the game. And what's funny as well is if you look at the poster, the head of the lady is hiding the numbers, and there's actually not enough space for the numbers if you actually try to imagine them there, which doesn't work, but whatever, it's still there. Yeah.
About time. What happened? You get stuck in an air duct on the way over?
Yeah, nice to see you too, Francis. Something's wrong with my retinal display. Can you fix it?
If it's what I think it is, probably. Of course, it might seem. Looks like your left and right imaging processors weren't completely in sync. But don't worry, your Sentinel health implant will kick in soon, repairing any damage that might have caused. Your retinal display should be fine now. Its recognition software won't be picking up hostiles yet, but you should be seeing radar and targeting reticules. Biomedical data too, if you're in pain.
Right. We done here? Because Sarif is waiting for me at the helipad.
I know. Radicals have broken into our manufacturing plant and taken hostages. Maybe this time you'll actually save people.
If you got a problem with me, Pritchard, why don't you just say it and get it over with?
Why no, Jensen? I don't have a problem with you. If anything, I blame myself.
The mighty Pritchard blaming himself. That's gotta be a first.
I'm the one who told Sarif we needed a physical security team to protect us. If he'd read my report closely enough...
Wait a second. Are you saying it was your idea to hire me?
Not you, Jensen. I wanted Dynacore, Sharp Edge, or Bell Tower. All the top private security contractors were on my list, but Sarif wanted somebody in-house. And so did Dr. Reed.
I suggest you leave Megan out of this.
Why, Jensen? It's no secret how close the two of you were. And let's face it, you'd just been fired from SWAT for that massacre in Mexican Town. No one was about to hire you.
You really have to stop getting your news from those Picus blogs, Francis. They only confuse you.
The point is, if Sarif had listened to me, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But Megan, God love her, always did have Sarif's ear.
Sarif's ear is going to be hearing a report about violence in the workplace if you keep this up. You really feel like continuing?
Point taken. Oh, and by the way, Jensen, I know you've gone through a lot of physical changes of late, but you didn't become a woman. Stay out of the ladies' restroom. As enjoyable as this little chit-chat has been, isn't Sarif waiting for you at the helipad?
아이템 없나? 아, 이거 이렇게 볼 수 있구나. 좋아요. 매너가 있죠? 문은 닫아주고. 사리프가 기다려도 그래, 할 건 해야지, 그치? 올라갑시다. 내 사무실 가봐야지. 에반가? 보스가 기다리니까 갈까? 가자. 월급 주는 사람 말 들어야지. 가자. 돈 주시는데 갑시다.
So that's pretty funny. If you look at this pizza box here, it's Maggio's Pizza, and that's actually one of the texture artists. And if you look at the face on it, that's actually his face. And throughout, I think it's in Detroit. There might be one in Hangsha as well. You see the actual restaurant as well, with his name and his face on the window. So that's the kind of stuff we did. We did a lot in the game, which is
아 앤드루님 오랜만입니다.
Well, I haven't seen him for
감독판을
a
제가
while.
코멘터리를 켜고 하고 있어요. 지금 제가 한 번도 안 해봐가지고 이런 식으로는 옛날에 깼던 건데 코멘터리 켜고 하니까 또 재밌네. 뒷이야기도 듣고. 한글판으로 제가 처음 해봐요. 그때는 되게 한글판이 없어가지고 영어로 했거든 그냥. 좀 한글판으로 좀 문서들 다 보면서 하고 있습니다. 어서 오세요.
Factory workers have been taken hostage, and the entire city holds its collective breath. I doubt I need to remind you folks that this is the second time the biotechnology firm has been attacked. The first time, 6 months ago, on the eve of controversial hearings set to scrutinize the company's...
죽었어. 아씨, 얘 여자친구 아니야? 여자친구 죽었어.
Many are now wondering if something else may be going on. Is David Seraph hiding something? For tonight, this is Eliza Cassan reporting to you live, Picus. Back now to that breaking news coming out of Detroit. Police are still not saying much about the situation, but sources tell me that a militant group of pro-human activists...
매건 저기 이거 습격 받은 걸로 그냥 공청회가 쭉 났나 봐요. 공청회가 그냥 쫑이 났어. 게임 업적 중에 아무도 살해하지 않고 엔딩 보이가 있던 걸로 기억하네요. 내가 한번 해볼까? 될지 안 될지 모르겠네. 그거를 의도적으로 노리진 않을게요. 근데 한번 해볼게. 노력은 해볼게. 그래도 약간 어차피 지금 난이도 높은 거라서 살상 힘들 것 같아. 사실상 살상은 힘들 듯.
Do you know what's happening at the manufacturing plant? Some kind of break-in, I heard.
But sources tell me that a militant group
피자 박스가 어딨냐? 안 보이는데?
have raided a Seraph Industries plant.
Jensen? Jeez, wasn't expecting you back for weeks
Sorry,
yet.
Mr. Jensen.
If ever.
Things are really unsettled right now. Mr. Pritchard in the tech lab will probably tell you more.
So by now, depending on how much time you spend in the Seraph offices, David Seraph contact you a couple of times to tell you to go to the manufacturing plant.
Adam!
Yeah, exactly. And that thing, it was in the game for a while, like with the dialogue, depending on how much time you were spending there or not, it was popping several times with different kind of variation in the conversation. Things are going to go much worse and everything. And I was reviewing the build in November 1992, in November 2010, and we were almost beta and everything. And I realized, oh my God, like, it's just mostly
네, 서브 스토리 좀 미묘하게 달라져.
And it's a
짜잘짜잘하게 달라져.
I was, oh my God.
I think that's one of the best things in the game. Really.
Yeah, we're missing the point.
Yeah.
And the next morning, I come back in the office and I go to David and Fussy, our producer, and say, man, we did a huge mistake, and now we're going in our first instance with the journalists, and we're totally fucked. Basically, we need to have a real consequence to that thing, and said we need to re-record lines with...
And we basically need to kill the hostages
we
if
need
you don't
to kill
get
the
there in time.
hostages, exactly. We need to re-record lines, new lines for police officers, for David Seraph, for Adam Jensen, for all those beautiful people. And he approved it, and I was so happy because, like, and then it was the quest for...
Yeah, and what was crazy about it was, first of all, we were so close to, like, almost having to ship the game that we'd released a lot of our actors. We'd already done all the recording, and Seraph himself, so we had to go through and we had to kind of indicate which actors would have to be brought back, how many lines they'd have, and then we had to find Steve Shellen.
녹음을 좀 추가 녹음을 했나 봐네. 뭐가 바뀌어가지고.
Somewhere on a beach in Morocco doing something.
He was on vacation.
Someone,
He was on vacation.
Yeah, he was.
추가 작업해야
He'd been wrapped.
징징댄다고.
Yeah, well, he was done, and I mean, you know, anybody who knows Steve Shellen, very talented actor, but very much a free spirit.
How long it took you to get to him? To trace him back?
It wasn't that bad actually, because I think he did leave information with his agent saying if anybody needs me. And so it was actually quite surprisingly quick. But then it was just the logistics of like, okay, I got to find a studio in Morocco that this guy can go to, and you know, I have no way of specking out what their facilities like, what's it going to sound like. But somehow, you know,
들어가는 퀘스트가 없었는데 그게 갑자기 추가가 됐는데 녹음을 다 끝난 상태였대. 그 일정상.
And we hooked up via Source Connect, which is a software that allows you to link up in real
메인
time
액터
with
중에
the studio
한 명이
session.
좀 프리스피릿이라서
So we were able to
이미
do it that
모로코로
way.
여행 간 상태라서
And I guess he
모로코에
showed up
녹음실
in
알아봐주고
Bermuda
있었대.
shorts with coconuts in hand, and he did it, and we got through it.
Yeah, and it was just a few days before the deadline, and Steve came to me. He's like, "Well, hopefully it's going to work, and the sound, the quality is going to be there. Otherwise, we might not be able to use it." And we were super stressed, but it was a fun ride.
Yeah, and it worked out because that's the first thing everyone comments when they started playing the game was, "Oh my God, I the hostages are dead already.
Yeah.
I didn't know that would happen."
Yeah, it's one of the few games that really.
잠깐만, 야, 나 인질 죽어 있는 거 아니야? 지금 늦게 가서? 인질 죽어 있는 거 같은데.
That really encapsulates what a
그럼 연수가 있는 건 몰랐는데.
is all about.
인질 죽어 있는 거 아니야?
You don't even know that is really happening or whatever, depending on what you do. Some people would arrive there and see them dead, and they didn't pay attention to what David was saying. They wouldn't know why. And
인질 죽어 있겠네. 나 존나 늦었네.
And it almost didn't happen.
앤드님 어떡하지? 아, 나 이거 코멘터리 듣고 막 구경하느라고 늦었네. 좋댔네. 인질 다 죽어 있겠네. 헬기 타면 존나 쿠사리 먹겠다. 내가 가는 이유가 없지 않아 이거? 이거 나 가는 이유가 없는 것 같은데. 이거 또 코멘터리 또 들어줘야지.
So here's the VTOL, the VTOL,
야, 다 듣고 가야지.
Adam's chopper or Farida's chopper. This is definitely one of the pieces of hardware that I really prefer in the game. I mean, one of my favorite ones. I think it's a perfect mix of really almost hardcore sci-fi design, yet with a lot of credibility to it, where you can easily imagine this is where things would go, you know, in 20 or 30 years from now. I just really love it. I've always wanted to make a little, you know, model of it, you know, kind of like a scratch build with
it looks really good.
It looks really good. Just buying pieces of model kits from airplanes and stuff like that, and just like from the pieces actually build that. And yeah, it has a lot of character, and that's it. I really like it.
And speaking of character, since the VTOL is also very much associated with Farida,
Farida
Malik, Farida was actually a character who was not originally thought to be a very important character in the game. I think it took a long time before we actually gave her a name. In fact, at first we were calling her Farina, but then everyone here was saying, Mary, that means wheat in French.
Flour.
And it's flour in French. It can't be that and everything. So, but she really wasn't intended to be this big character at all in the game. And then as we continued developing the game and writing the scripts
이거 벌써
and starting
날아갔는데?
to add more player choice into dialogue,
도전까지 날아간 거 아니야?
she ended up becoming, and it makes sense when you think about it because she's one of your constant companions. So she ended up
이런 거 되게 디테일하게
coming
넣어놨다.
within the development process itself, developing into a very big character. And I think our original backstory for her was she was supposed to be of Muslim descent, and we originally wanted to have her use Arabic language and swear words and everything.
We tried it.
But then when we ended up casting the actress as 100% American.
Well, because here's the thing, what I remember is, and you had a strong affection for the character because it was based on a character in Battlestar Galactica. I think that, you were saying as a
유색인종 느낌 나는 캐릭터로 잡으려 했는데
So
결국에
we had that,
미국인으로 그냥
but
썼대.
then she's got to be Arabic. So we had found the actress and we loved what she brought, and she had that sort of tough, kind of tomboyish sort of way about her, and we really loved everything about it. But every time we would have dialogue where she'd have to swear in Arabic to kind of give her that, you know, where she comes from, it just always sounded really forced. It just never worked. Like she would nail the pronunciation, but it's just, you know, it's not natural.
We pretty much figured the first time that she did it that was like, okay, we're dropping all that right now, and we're just going with the American.
Yeah, Mary quickly adapted it. We kept the character. We kept her origins. We just removed the swearing from the Arabic language and kept her North American, and it worked well.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, the thing on her face above her lip, like actually in the game, it looks like a beauty mark, but it's supposed to be a monroe piercing, and it just didn't really come out all that well in the game. So everybody, like, there's a lot of fan art about Farida, and they put a beauty mark, but it's supposed to be a little piercing. Really.
Now you know the truth.
Now you know the truth.
이거 원래 점이 아니라 피어싱이었대. 피어싱이래 피어싱. 아무도 몰라줬대. 점이 아니라 피어싱이래. 존나
Welcome
구사리
back,
먹겠네.
Jensen. Didn't think we'd see you around here for a
점
while
아니래
yet.
저거.
You know how it goes,
피어싱.
Malik. Duty calls.
Don't I know it? I was in my wingsuit halfway to the top of the Renaissance Center when I got the 911. But you, 6 months is a hell of a short time to come back from the dead. You sure you're ready for this?
Only one way to find out.
Roger that. The boss is already on board, arguing with the DPD's tactical response team. They've got the plant surrounded, but Mr. Seraph wants you to go in first.
Why?
You all set here? Because the sooner we take off, the better it will be for everyone.
이미 존나 늦었어. 준비됐어.
Great. Then let's get airborne.
So yeah, the
미안합니다.
cutscenes
늦었어요.
are pre-rendered, but originally we were planning them out to be totally in-game
아,
and
원래
everything.
컷신을 인게임으로 할래.
As we were progressing and realizing what it would demand and the tools and everything that we didn't have set up properly and everything, we kind of realized that we would never ship the game like that. So we had to rely on the pre-rendered cutscenes.
작업 시간이 이런 게 도저히 안 될 것 같아서 원래 다 인게임 그래픽으로 처리하려 했는데 그렇게는 구현을 못했대요. 이거 나도 오랜만에 해가지고 이거 다 깰 수 있을지 모르겠네. 좀 어려워.
There's a funny little thing here at the, if you notice when Jensen comes into the VTOL in the cutscene, he's wearing his jacket, and then when we start inside the plane, he's not wearing the jacket. It's kind of a big problem there between cinematics and in-game. They were saying, you know, something fell through the cracks. So for audio to try and help that out at the end of the cutscene, you actually kind of hear a cloth rustle, and it's supposed to be Jensen taking his coat off and throwing his coat on the floor. To try and help sort of bridge the gap that, you know, it was too late. We couldn't fix the cutscene, and we couldn't put the coat on him here. It didn't make sense, so that's kind of how we dealt with that.
And this is a pretty major scene with David Seraph. It's really the first time you ever get to meet him in person. And I remember the casting for David Seraph. We went through a lot of different ideas about what kind of person this should be. Should he be really corporate? Should he be this? And I remember we had a couple contenders, and when Steve Shellen came in, and the way he played it, it wasn't exactly what I was picturing in my head, but I remember going, wait a second, it's like, it totally works, because we wanted a very charismatic guy who's a very friendly guy, but we wanted a corporate CEO kind of guy. And I remember walking out of that casting session going, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? And I think the decision, we did it early enough in the process that the decision to cast him totally affected how we wrote that character from that point on.
Just make sure those bastards don't wake up and warn their friends. You remember what it's like in there? A lot of tight and closed hallways, but the labs themselves are pretty open. High ceilings. So you want something you can use from a distance or up close?
Give me something with distance. If I get too close, I'll take them out personally.
Just try not to break anything expensive. The Typhoon should be in the factoring labs, but Frank will tell you more as you go in. I've got him running comms.
Terrific. Anything else?
Keep your eyes open for Josie. Now free her if you can, but the Typhoon is your #1 priority. We developed it for the Alphabet agencies, and if we don't deliver it to them intact and still a secret, well, I'm sure you'll get the job done right.
Gentlemen, prepare for landing.
딴 애들이 파이팅 볼까봐 얘 빨리 들어가라는 거구나. 타이핑 노출될까요? 총알 없냐? 이런 게 있고 이런 데 총알 있던데. 뭐냐? 없네.
What the hell is it with your boss holding us up? Does he know that he cost his own people their lives?
You're the Seraph security guy, right? The one we were delayed for? Hope you know those hostages are dead because of you and your boss.
So this is pretty funny. You guys have probably noticed already, or will notice. There's paint buckets lying around the entire game, and they're all kind of empty.
All over the place.
All over the place.
Gold.
Yeah, and they're all
그러네.
empty yellow or gold paint, if you want.
다
And the
노란색
joke
아니면
behind that
저거네.
is because there's so much yellow, gold, and orange in the
맞아.
game.
Black and gold.
With the black and gold, obviously the 50% of the black and gold. Is the joke is that it's actually people in the world who actually, took up, paint buckets of yellow paints and painted the world that way. So it just became a little inside joke, and we started putting these buckets all over the place.
So now you know how the black and gold was made in the
Yeah,
first
it is not from us. It is from very, very advanced AI that started painting the game to their liking. Really.
So as you continue playing the game, keep an eye out. You'll
Keep an
see
eye
how
out.
many
They're all
there are.
all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah.
About freaking time. SI Security?
Yeah, name's Jensen.
I know. You used to be on Team 2 till that Mexican town thing went down. I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same, don't they?
Meaning what?
Meaning corpses seem to follow you around. Feel like getting in there and doing whatever it is your boss wants you to do? Because maybe then we can get your people some justice.
I'm gonna need some intel before I head in.
Fine. What do you want to know?
우두머리.
The leader's name is Sanders, right? What's his story?
Zeke Sanders. We're running background on him now. Looks like he fought 2 tours in the Gulf. One of them on a recycled military bill.
You mean he's augmented? Seraph told me he's not.
He used to be augmented. Says his logs made him do evil shit, so he ripped him out. Now he's got a whole crew of gullible gangbangers ready to kill for him, as we've already seen.
How many purists am I looking at down there?
I don't have an exact number. So far we've spotted 3 in the courtyard, maybe a dozen or so inside. But that's a sketchy estimate at best, since we seem to be getting a loop playback off your intellicams.
That shouldn't be possible. I told Seraph to make sure Pritchard overhauled the system.
Well, someone inside must be tech savvy, because all we're seeing is a loop. For all we know, there could be 5, 10, or 3 dozen perps in there.
Realistically, how much time do I have before you guys breach?
According to protocol, none. According to your boss, so far the press hasn't found out about the murders, but I can't guarantee that someone somewhere isn't going to let it slip. And when that happens...
That almost sounds like a threat, Commander.
It's not. But you didn't hear the phone call, Jensen. 8 innocent civilians screaming for help while choking to death on poison gas. And all we could do was stand here and listen. So.
Yes.
I think...
You sure?
I got it from here.
Like we got a choice.
미안합니다. 나 때문에. 코멘터리 또 있어?
So this is a manufacturing plant. It's the first mission that Adam Jensen goes through after getting fully augmented.
Yeah, once his RoboCop.
When he's RoboCop now, he's ready to use his new tools. The thing is that the first final version of the map that we got, actually to just put...
Jensen, it's me, Pritchard.
이거
Where are you?
On a roof overlooking the plant.
Good. Your point of entry should be through shipping and receiving.
Should be, Francis. What the hell does that mean?
We have an employee entrance there, heavily guarded by purists, no doubt. So, if you're not a fan of the frontal assault, I suppose you could try accessing the building's roof.
아 이거 들어야 돼. 코멘터리.
So this is a manufacturing plant. It's the first mission that Adam Jensen goes through after getting fully augmented.
Yeah, once he's RoboCop.
When he's RoboCop now, he's ready to use his new tools. The thing is that the first final version of the map that we got, actually, to just put people in the context, it was supposed to be those terrorists taking over this facility.
The Purity First guys.
Purity First guys trying to find evidences that Serif Industries was going through unethical work and stuff.
Imagine it's like it's as if Greenpeace takes over like a whaling ship or something like that. Or,
But the first kind of semi-final version of the map, we started it and you wouldn't see anything. Everything was pretty. Yeah. Everything was super clean. Nothing going on.
And not only that, it was clean in terms of like you didn't get the feeling that there was no siege, but also the indications that it was besieged by Purity First also was not there.
There was nothing.
There was nothing at all.
And it was just the story telling you this is happening. But as you were walking in the game, you didn't feel it. So we had to go through several iterations.
And point out that we need things here, guys, like graffiti and break-in signs and all that.
And the banners. And I know you've always thought that the banners look way too like professionally done for an organization like Purity First.
For a terrorist organization, how they got the money for silk screening of huge banners.
맵이 너무 깨끗했대.
Well, I've done silk screening at home myself, so I guess you would need a really big silk screen to make those banners, though. But yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
맵이 너무 깨끗해서 저런 걸 추가를 했답니다. 이게 만화 차는 거였나? 다 까먹었다. 큰일 났네. 까먹었어. 씨.
Yeah, this map actually it symbolizes the revival of Detroit in some way. In some ways, when we look back at Detroit in the 20th century, it was one of the big cities for the car industry and everything. And in this manufacturing plant, actually, it's an old car factory that has been repurposed for Serif Industries' needs and stuff. And for us, it was kind of using this kind of metaphor to say that reusing the old power of America of the 20th century and put it in the 21st century, but into the new field of technology that makes the city strong again. And as we were
개인적으로 이 게임이 최고인 것 같아. 저는 그렇게 생각합니다.
Brainstorming for the different cities in the game, like Detroit, and we were wondering like why Detroit and why we would go.
I was one of those. I was like,
분위기 하나는 오졌어요. 처음 났을 때 음악이나 이런 게
it made a lot of sense because when you think about it in the history of America, it was like the Ford basically revolutionized the way that cars are made
probably
in Detroit,
even part of the economy itself,
the new factories and the new technologies and stuff. So why not, when the industry fades, would someone else with a new technology come over and take it over and take over those old plants and basically recycle?
Yeah, we're actually saying that Serif did it on purpose, right? That he chose to refurbish, they say, right? Refurbish these factories as a symbolic move, right? It was purposeful on his part. I think it was a really good idea.
And last week we're in November as we were recording it. Last week I was reading in the
November
newspaper.
2012.
Yes, a newspaper story about Detroit that was being revitalized. Yeah, revitalized through different new companies, and the downtown. It's becoming more and more interesting. It has nothing to do with biotech corporations,
but
though,
it's still
but
the same
it's coming back.
idea.
Yeah, exactly.
못 넘어가냐 이거? 못 넘어가나? 머리를 써야 하는 건가? 아, 여기 개구멍이 있구나. 까먹었고. 사실상 뭐 이 게임도 잠입 거의 관광제 강요죠. 모든 디자인이 약간 그런 거에 잘 돼 있으니까.
Richard, I'm in. The door worked just fine.
I'm happy for you. The Typhoon is in the factoring labs. There's an elevator just past the assembly labs that will take you to it.
Got it.
So now we're entering into the hangar shipping zone of the manufacturing plant, and now we can have a look at the Purity First terrorists. Actually, when they were born, when they were designed, they were looking more like medieval knights. And then we kind of felt that it was not totally in line with what a group of terrorists would be, like, especially against augmentations, against everything. And in terms of the visual storytelling of them, it was kind of not doing exactly what we wanted.
Right. Well, I think the original designs, right, Joe, came out of the idea of the Cyber Renaissance and the Templars and who represented what?
Yeah, they were. Well, the idea was that we had. We had two contrasts, right? The augmented people, the transhumanist side was with the cyber renaissance, and the people that were against it was kind of like the Dark Ages before the Renaissance. It was more like feudal, it was more medieval. And we said, well, the way that I saw it was that these guys were against augmentation, so they weren't augmented, and they had to fight against people that were a lot stronger, a lot faster and everything than them because they were augmented. So my idea was that to make them super armored, crazy ass big weapons, because they needed to, with military hardware technology, compensate for that. And my early designs were like these really basically walking tanks. And then Jeff comes up to me one day and he's like, well, these are like grassroots
참 신기한 건
terrorists and whatnot. And he's like, this would make no sense. And this is one of the few times where me and Jeff kind of like headbutted, because I really like that, because we usually always on the same page. I was like, no man, these designs are way too fucking awesome, But then it actually made sense, the grassroots and everything, so we made them look like
디트로이트가 자동차 이런 걸로 좀 유명해서 그런가? 제조업 기반은? 도시가 죽었잖아 좀. 약간 그런 거랑 좀 괴가 맞아서 그런가? 제조업 도시인데 죽었잖아. 타이형 의료 그룹, 짱깨 그룹. 얘네 막 인수합병 오질나게 하고 있죠? 무섭게 치고 올라오는 신진 회사인가 봐. Purity First, 금속 거부하라, 너 자신을 받아들여. 거짓은 강추려, 진리는 피와 살이다. 개소리. 개소리 하는 거야 이거. 진행이 제가 되게 느릴 거예요. 아마 글이나 이런 걸 다 읽을 거기 때문에 천천히 할 거예요. 코멘터리도 다 듣고 비록 영문이긴 하지만 나 그게 번역이 돼 있으면 좋았을 텐데 안타깝게 그거는 번역이 안 돼 있네요. 근데 개인적으로 사이버펑크보다 이게 더 나는 메인 스토리만 봐도 좋다고 얘기는 좀 하기 힘든데 왜냐면 유치하니까 디트로이트 비컴 휴먼이랑 비슷한 느낌이긴 한데 좀 뻔한 주제인데 그래도 사이버펑크보단 더 몰입해서 했던 것 같아 훨씬. 초과 근무로 엄청 공장을 짰나봐. 제조 공장 존나게 짰나보네. 위로 갈게요. 인터랙티브 무비류 게임이 집중도가 좋긴 하죠. 근데 나는 집중을 재밌게 하는데 보는 사람들이 노잼일 수 있지. 보는 사람들이 노잼이지. 나는 재밌는데. 아니야. 아 여기 지금 못 지나가네. 가장 항상 문제는 보는 사람들이 문제지. 스무스하게 지나가고요. 아 좋습니다. 좋아요. 스무스해 스무스. 좋아.
Fight back, all you true humans out there. Fight back. Don't let the anybody see D-Rap? Probably smoking a cigarette. Why? You shouldn't be wandering off like that. See, once it's all on full alert. What for? The popos ain't coming in here. It's not my reason. Oh God. Oh shit. You see Zeke with that hand on his seat?
오 씨. 좋대. 저 3명 중에 몇 명은 좀 잡긴 해야 할 것 같다. 데이어스엑스 1 노래 나오죠.
So here we're in front of the first conspiracy radio that is spread out through
뭐야?
the entire game. And
다시 할게요. 그냥 해도 되려나?
I can't remember how the idea came about, and Steve is going to talk about it. But me, I just remember Steve coming to me really excited about this idea and really wanted to push it in the game.
Yeah, well, when I get something in my hat, I'm usually pretty passionate about it. We were doing weekly reviews in one of our review rooms, and we were.
다시 할게. 에이씨. 아, 이제 코멘터리 듣다가 이거 다 정리하고 듣자. 지금 처리 좀 하고 듣자. 코멘터리 듣다가 씨.
So here we're entering deeper into the manufacturing plant, and people need to know that it's probably one of the oldest map that we did, and before having final AI, before really fully understanding the sectorization of the map areas, to really take advantage of the systems we had instead of showing off the limits of the systems we had. And since we had tons to do and many maps, we couldn't really revisit this map the way we would have loved to. And this is why it's probably one of the maps that showcase the limitations of our AIs the most. That's why you see in this map like some AIs that are going to a door frame and they stop there, they don't cross over to try to get you and everything. It's because the sectorization back in the day has been done and the map has been built with an AI that was not fully implemented, but when everything came together, we were like, oh, it shows the limit of the systems. We tried to hide it as much as possible with the guys like taking cover on the sides of the door, like pretending that they're just waiting there protecting themselves because you're dangerous, but
that's not really,
that's not
because
really
you're
that.
augmented and they're not.
And for
sometimes it looked like that actually, but it's not what was going on really.
But in other maps that came later, now we had a better understanding of our systems. Therefore, we were able to build maps in such a way that those limitations wouldn't be that apparent.
요 맵의 디자인을 짤 때가 적 AI가 좀 완벽하게 이제 구현이 되기 전이었대요. 그래서 좀 자세히 보면 좀 어색한 부분들이 많대. 이게 그러니까 이게 얘네가 순찰을 놀잖아. 근데 요 구역이나 이런 게 좀 너무 딱딱 떨어져가지고 좀 어색하대. 그런 걸 뭐 얘기를 하네. 좀 어색한 부분이 있다고. 자식아. 이 자식아. 일로 와, 자식아.
So here we're in front of the first conspiracy radio that is spread out through the entire game, and I can't remember how the idea came about, and Steve is going to talk about it. But me, I just remember Steve
라디오에서 나오는
coming to me
그
really excited about this idea and really wanted to
스크립트에
push it
대해서
in the
얘기하는
game.
거.
Yeah, well, when I get something in my hat, I'm usually pretty passionate about it. We were doing weekly reviews in one of our review rooms, and we were playing it. And what was really starting to bother me was that we needed to be pushing the conspiracy side of the game. It was very important. And at that time, we were using a lot of the NPCs and the city hubs that you would talk to, and it always felt kind of strange and a bit awkward to me that you would go up to a random person on the street and hit, the talk button, and you would get some kind of line like, isn't it strange that Taeyong Medical seems to be shipping supplies to Panchaea? And you're like, who says that on a random street when you go up and talk to somebody?
Yes, it was very difficult.
And it was very tough for the writers as well, because, you're trying to make it sound natural, but yet... So anyway, I had this idea, and I mean, it's not an original idea, it's been done in other games, but we tried to put our own spin on it. We said, why don't we create a radio DJ his sole purpose in the game will be to push the conspiracy. And my inspiration was actually from the movie Eight-Legged Freaks, where they have the conspiracy DJ who lives in his little camper trailer out in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, this is awesome, because it'll cost us a radio for an object that can just be dumped anywhere in the map, and then we just go in the studio and record these long monologues, which the writers did have to write, but they did an amazing job on the writing. They studied Alex Jones and all kinds of conspiracy stuff. And I have to give Mary the credit for, I remember when we were talking about who we were going to cast, and she looks at me and she goes, well, what about Harry Sanjovsky, who was this amazing actor that we loved him so much and we wanted to try and fit him into the game somewhere, but every time we kind of cast him as a part, just by chance that part would kind of get scaled down or cut, and we would be left with this great actor that we couldn't put anywhere. So she gets the credit for the casting on that one, saying, what about him? And my eyes just lit up. We didn't even cast, we just said, that's it, it's him.
In there and do it.
And
he was amazing.
What an amazing job he did.
I think he did most of them in one take.
Yeah, he was just, he just nailed it. He
And
it's
Andrew who wrote also the
text,
right?
Andrew, one of our freelance writers, wrote all.
Yeah. who's also doing very well right now, is
Yes.
Anakin Slade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Anakin Slade, the hip hop artist, worked on this game, and he wrote almost, I think, all the pirate radio
Yeah,
DJ
all
stuff.
the pirate and most of the overheard conversations.
And I was just really happy. Again, it shows, you know,
저
credit
앤드류님
to
또 영어
JF's
잘하시니까 더
director,
재밌게
game
듣고 나
director
지금
skills. That
다는
he
못
was open to the
알아듣거든요.
idea, and he let me build off of it because I
50%
was
정도
really happy when it
알아들으면서
went in.
Yeah, but I had the easy job. I just had to say yes.
But it was good too because after that, Mary's team could actually write lines for the city people that were more in line of what people would say, and we could actually dump all this conspiracy side onto the one DJ and let him push that whole thing. So it really worked out well in the end.
신기하네. 이게 길에 있는 시민들이나 이런 애들한테 이제 음모설이나 이런 거를 좀 주입을 하기에는 좀 어거지스러운 면이 있으니까 좀 자연스럽게 어떻게 이거를 계속 세뇌시킬까에 대해서 라디오를 택한 거네. 그렇다. 쓰러져 이 새끼야. 나이스. 아, 또 있어? 와, 임마. 와. 넌 이 방으로 들어갈 것이다. 빨리 와, 빨리 와. 빨리 들어와. 와. 여기도 뭐 코멘터리 있네. 아, 존나 많아. 이거 다트 맞고서 막 지랄 발광 안 하는 게 신기하네. 저도 사실 비살상 플레이로는 잘 안 해봤어요. 이거 게임할 때 제가 나이 어릴 때라서. 그때 군대 막 전역하고서 아니지, 군대 전역한 지 3년 넘었으니까 첫 사회생활 할 때 이거 했던 것 같은데. 첫 사회생활 할 때 해본 것 같아요. 한번 코멘터리 들으면서 파밍하자.
Well, the room full of lockers.
Yes.
It reminds me of the
hate
good
that
80s
room.
and 90s.
Yeah.
I can't get through that room without having to open every single locker that exists in
It's
that
crazy.
room.
Well, me, I'm like you, but not for the same reason. It's actually like I hate it. I don't want to do it, but I still do it because I want to get the goodies that are inside, and I can't never remember which ones they are. But if I knew, I would just go straight to those ones because there's probably almost 100 lockers in that room.
I don't know. I
for
never
real.
count them, but
There's at least 60.
but it feels like it's a slot machine. Huh? You have to
Yes.
put another quarter. You have to put, and you always hope that you're going to
No.
win some.
Feels like a pain in the butt.
But me, every time I go in this room, I'm like, fuck, I have to open them all.
Yeah. But it was
Exactly.
on purpose. It was kind of a joke, and it was kind of an homage to like all of those old school games where we didn't really care or we didn't really think if we were putting.
Jensen, I just tried to unlock the assembly lab door, but my override codes aren't working. Someone's changed the protocols.
What? Didn't you plug the...
I'm on it. But until I find this particular breach and fix it, you'll have to hack the door manually. Pritchard out.
해킹 또 내가 존나 잘하지. 어떻게 했더라? 여기서 시작이었나? 해킹의 대가지. 띠용.
Access granted.
좋아요. 해킹 쉬워. 이 제독 하지마. 이거 시끄러워. 하지마. 이리와. 적들이 아래치면 어떡하지? 씨.
So this is a very interesting room. This is a room that that's very dear to me. It's one of the
인질 다 죽은 데
you
아니야?
know early stuff that we designed for the game. This goes back to probably fall.
2008. Yeah.
No, this is like fall 2007. I think.
Are you sure? Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, I think so. I mean, it ended up being produced in
Yeah,
2008 for the game,
Yeah.
but I think if it's 2008, it's very early, like right after Christmas or something, right? And so we weren't really sure where we're going with the game at that point, or the locations, and all that kind of stuff. But we knew we had to do the tech demo, right? And this is what we did. And this room, obviously. And the concept art, the idea was it was a tech lab, it was a biotech lab. It's Thierry Doison, of his artist name, Baron Thierry, who did it. Superb concept art. And the idea on Deus Ex is that we wanted to make sure that the visual style was very consistent throughout the entire game, right? It was really homogeneous. And a good way to do this is you make sure that the style that's on the concept art is the style that you want in the game, that there's no like dual standards, you know what I mean? And then what the production artists see on the concept art, they need to reproduce it. I wouldn't say as is, but they need to make sure that the style is the same.
It needs to stay faithful.
It needs to stay very faithful, you know. And what was interesting is that when that room was first designed, sometimes we'd see, you know, an artist working at his desk, and we'd see what we thought or what we think was a wallpaper of the concept art, you know, on his computer, and then suddenly that wallpaper will start moving.
It was actually
and
the 3D.
It was actually the 3D room. We're like, holy shit, this looks 100% like the concept art. Almost it was one of my first time in all of my in my entire career where I really saw this almost 1:1 ratio between concept art.
It was impressive.
It was very impressive.
And actually, it's the first part, the first press tour ever we did with journalists. That's the tech demo we showed.
That's the first thing we ever shown to the journalists, and they asked us, "What the hell is this engine?" Like, because there was so much of a flavor.
There was a flavor, yeah.
We definitely didn't have the best of engines to do this game. I mean, it's a well-known fact, but because of that style that we put in it, a lot of people were really
made it very attractive.
Made it very attractive and special. Anyway, and we ended up. This is one of the few very, very early things that we kept and that we recycled, if you want, in the final game. And this is the room that we have here.
Fuck. 왜 걸렸어? 왜요? 야, 왜 걸림? 왜 걸린 거야? 이해할 수가 없는데? 왜 걸린 거지?
Fucking passwords. What the hell is that hacker doing?
주사기 좋아. 주사기 개꿀. 늦었어 이 새끼야. 바로 주무시죠? (1505) 필요 없죠 이미? 늦었죠? 다 죽어 있을 거다 저 올라가면. 다 뒤져있겠지? 예, 저도 어려움으로는 처음 해봐요. 제가 노멀만 막 두어 번 깨가지고 어려움으로는 처음 해보죠. 여기 뭐 오 쉣. 넌 좀 맞자 이 새끼야. 헤이. 늦었어. 오 큰일 날 뻔했네. 한 놈이 있었구나. 템이 너무 많은데? 보통 난이도 할 때도 이렇게 템 많이 먹었어요? 컴퓨터가 없네요 여기는. 컴퓨터 있는 줄 알고 다 잡은 건데? 읽어보려고. 아 일로 안 갈 거예요. Oh no. They are all dead. 다 죽었어. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's all because of me. Oh my god. 이거 다 나 때문이야. 이럴 수. Shit.
Rolling.
So we're in the hostage room in the manufacturing plant where we have the bomb.
The bomb.
And what is interesting with this one is that there are many ways to defuse the bomb. When you get into the room now, it's booby trapped, so the doors are locking behind you, and now you have to figure it out.
And you have to hack, supposedly.
You can hack. You can also find a code for it, but another way to solve it, and a lot of players didn't know that, but you can actually shoot the tank to the left and the tank to the right, and that's it, because there are kind of
탱크
쏴도
the
toxic
substance.
mix is when they mix together.
But if they don't mix, there's no
또
problem.
다른 방법이 있었네.
And I think there's actually you can shoot the connector that
지금 왼쪽 통하고
causes them
오른쪽 통이
to
합쳐져서
mix.
가스가 되는
And I remember
거라서
being in Los Angeles for one of
두
the
개를 그냥
hands-on
총으로 쏴버려도
presentations
되는
with journalists
거라는데?
the very first time
엄청
that they
쉬운
got
방법
their
있었네.
hands to play on the game
저 방법이 제일
themselves. And I
쉬운데?
remember about there may have been like 20, 30 reporters, and afterwards everyone was talking, and one of them said, I don't know if this was supposed to happen, but I just shot the bomb and it stopped. And everyone else was looking at him like, you're kidding. I'm like, well, you win the prize. You found the secret way.
제일 쉬운 방법인데? 가스통 총으로 쏘면 되네. 어차피 기체 가스가 기체니까 쏘면 그 조합이 되기 전에 날아간다는 거. 왼쪽 통에 있는 거 먼저 쏴서 다 환기시켜 버리고. 씨 소리 이렇게 남았다. 아이 뭐야 이거 왔던 데잖아. 씨. 야 왔던 데 길은 하나잖아 결국에. 나도 지금 커멘터리 보고 알았네, 선생님. 처음 알았네, 지금. 커멘터리 보고 알았네, 지금. 해킹 되나? 씨발.
Who's over there?
아이고! 다시 할게요. 죄송합니다. 내가 비살상으로 하려다 보니까 뭐 그렇습니다. 오! 걸릴 뻔. 됐다. 이거 내가 해킹 안 되나? 좋댔네. 저 볼 텐데. 오 마이 갓. 아 경보 발동 샹. 다시. 아 한 발 늦었네. 저 근접 공격 조용히 할 수 있는 게 없나? 총으로 부셔야 돼? 방법이 없나? 그냥 피해야 하나? 어쩔 수 없이. 까먹었네. 봐야겠다. 까먹었어.
After guards, security systems will be your prime area of concern, as they will trigger alarms that bring about heightened security. Trying to destroy these devices is a bad idea. Try instead to get around them. By timing your moves properly, you should be able to do so relatively easily.
존나 골 때리는 방법이네. 그쵸, 컴퓨터밖에 안 되죠. 아씨. 방법이 골 때리네. 이 새끼 부를 거 없나? 박스 같은 거? 몰라 이 새끼야. 몰라 이 새끼야. 이렇게 올 거예요. 왜 안 와? 왜 안 와? 이리 와. 이 새끼 안 오는 거 보소. 의심하지 마. 아니. 빨리 와! 빨리 와! 빨리 와! 빨리 와! 안 걸렸지? 안 걸렸어. 그렇지. 총은 가져가야지. 큰일 날 뻔. 여기도 문이 있었네? 샹. 쉽게 갈 수 있었잖아. 저기도 문이 있었네. 진짜. 왔다. 이거 뭐야 얘네. 죄송합니다. 다시 할게. 저 안에도 있네? 저 안에도 있네? 몰랐고요. 안에도 있었네? 잠깐만요. 나 유튜브 지금 재생이 안 되고 있나? 스트리밍 되고 있는 거지? 되고 있구나. 잠깐만요. 앱이 좀 이상한데. 됐다. 오케이. 다시 봅시다. 깜짝 그만 봐라. 의심이 많아. 진짜 씨. 해킹은 내가 잘해. 뭐해 이렇게 느려 이거. 오케이. 좋아요. 해킹은 또 잘하지. 코멘터리?
So now we are entering into the first SAS zone of this map.
The airlocks.
Yeah, the airlocks. Actually, it's something that we had to add later as we were producing the maps to help the streaming.
Yeah, it's. I think also at that point in the game, we weren't mastering our streaming capabilities as well as we were later on in the game. So basically, it's just your common thing that you see in a lot of games. While this door is locked, we're actually loading the entire room that's in the back, and they were big rooms. Those are the huge lab rooms with a lot of like stuff to do and a lot of stuff to interact with. But what's good about them, and this is how they should be done, is they're thematically kind of inserted. It fits. It's you're in a lab, and this thing looks like it's a place that's gonna, how would you say, Mary, decontaminate you? Is that it? Yeah, decontamination. Sterilize you, and so like all the streams and whatnot. So I'm sure for maybe not for everybody, but for certain people, they didn't even realize what was going on. They were just like, oh.
So now we are entering into the first SAS zone of this map.
The airlocks.
Yeah, the airlocks. Actually, it's something that we had to add later as we were producing the maps to help the streaming.
Yeah, it's. I think also at that point in the game, we weren't mastering our streaming capabilities as well as we were later on in the game. So basically, it's just your common thing that you see in a lot of games. While this door is locked, we're actually loading the entire room that's in the back, and they were big rooms. Those are the huge lab rooms with a lot of like stuff to do and a lot of stuff to.
가위. 일단 박스 던지는 꼼수 저거 안 부리려고 하는 건데 지금.
SAS zone of this map.
The airlocks.
Yeah, the airlocks. Actually, it's something that we had to add later as we were producing the maps to help the streaming.
Yeah, it's. I think also at that point in the game, we weren't mastering our streaming capabilities as well as we were later on in the game. So basically, it's just your common thing that you see in a lot of games. While this door is locked, we're actually loading the entire room that's in the back, and they were big rooms. Those are the huge lab rooms with a lot of like stuff to do and a lot of stuff to interact with. But what's good about them, and this is how they should be done, is they're thematically inserted. It fits. It's you're in a lab, and this thing looks like it's a place that's gonna, how would you say, Mary, decontaminate you? Is that it? Yeah, decontamination. Sterilize you, and so like all the streams and whatnot. So I'm sure for maybe not for everybody, but for certain people, they didn't even realize what was going on. They were just like, oh, cool, I'm having.
코멘터리 존나 끄고 싶은데 갑자기. 집중이 안 돼.
So now we are entering into the first SAS zone of this map.
The airlocks.
Yeah, the airlocks. Actually, it's something that we had to add later as we were producing the maps to help the streaming.
Yeah, it's. I think also at that point in the game, we weren't mastering our streaming capabilities as well as we were later on in the game. So basically, it's just your common thing that you see in a lot of games. While this door is locked, we're actually loading the entire room that's in the back, and they were big rooms. Those are the huge lab rooms with a lot of like stuff to do and a lot of stuff to interact with. But what's good about them, and this is how they should be done, is they're thematically inserted. It fits. It's you're in a lab, and this thing looks like it's a place that's gonna, how would you say, Mary, decontaminate you? Is that it? Yeah, decontamination. Sterilize you, and so like all the streams and whatnot. So I'm sure for maybe not for everybody, but for certain people, they didn't even realize what was going on. They were just like, oh, cool, I'm having this steam shower, and then the door opens.
Yeah, I just remember me fighting it the longer I could. I was resisting it because I hate those things in general because it's very artificial, and we all know that it's just we have to load the other portion of the map. But like you said, it turned out.
At least when they're well, thematically incorporated that way, it works in a good way.
I agree.
쟤 왜 안 쓰러지냐? 잘못 쐈구나. 너도 쓰러져. 너도 일로 와. 너도 쓰러져. 불필요하게 몇 발 더 쐈다 너네 때문에 이 자식들아. 아 이놈 새끼들 그냥 힘들게 해. 아 곡사와길이에요 이거? 몰랐네? 아 그래? 오케이 참고하겠습니다. 그레이슨이라고 또 무슨 누군지 알겠다 지금 밀수꾼 그 있는 위치 알려줘. 곡사와기구나. 오케이 참고할게요. 이거 코멘터리 다 들으면서 하려면 게임 존나 오래 해야겠네? 지금 나 이거 금방 깰 줄 알았네? 이제 반 왔네? 이 맵에 반을 왔네 이제. 금방 깰 줄 알아. 그거 몰랐네? 죽방은 안 내려가겠지? 죽방이 확실하지. 좀도둑 새끼들 그냥. 컴퓨터 읽어보고 싶은데 컴퓨터가 없네. 이런 거 그 문서 읽는 재미로 하는 거잖아 원래. 잠깐만요. 오늘 시간상 여기 깨는 것까지만 해야겠는데 보니까 프락시스 캐스나 이거 좀 오래 걸리겠네. 이거 어떻게 바꾸더라? 이게 다였나 원래? 그냥 이게 다였나? 저거 보이네? 해킹해야지. 해킹 필수야 무조건. 이 게임은 해킹이 있어야 돼. 이 게임은 해킹이지. 고급 해킹은 뭐냐?
Some of the obstacles that can be circumvented by hacking include turrets, cameras, and robots. All you need to do is find a security hub controlling these.
오케이. 맞네. 가방칸도 족같긴 한데 맞네. 가방칸이 있네.
So now we're facing one of the air vents of the game. Actually, the air
vents...
One of the cleanest air vents in the history of games.
Yeah, the air vents are definitely the cleanest air vents in the history of games. That's true. And also, this was probably one of the biggest challenges
With the lockers.
With the lockers of the entire game of Deus Ex Human Revolution. Like, you would think it would be like AI or hacking or how to make like a story as complex as the one that Mary pulled off or whatever, but no.
The air vents.
It was the air vents doors.
And they had to be perfect because they're all over the place.
All over the place. The thing is that when you design something like that, and there's a door that needs to open, and you want to make sure that, and especially the air vents, because we would hide them so much, like put crates in front of them or put all sorts of crap in front of them. The way that they open, you want to make sure that it's not going to obstruct these things or obstruct AI or whatever. But at the same time, wanting it to open in a fairly credible way, you know. So we had them that would kind of slide in a spaceship way, like on the side, like you know, like which was like whatever. And eventually, what happened is our lead, Philippe Desrosiers, our lead modeler, which is also has studied engineering and drafting, design, all sorts of things like that. So he's really competent with mechanisms and figuring out how things work. And it might seem very simple when you look at it in the game, and it's like, this is what should have been done from the beginning. But it's not always that easy and that obvious. But he ended up thinking about just these hinges that are just kind of pushing the hatch forward and then bringing it upward, and it was that simple.
And that's the final solution. But when you look at how it was made in games before that, like it just opens in a very kind of like a door, but a trap door.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we could have done that, but we had physical objects. You have the characters, and you always have to think,
AI.
Exactly. You always have to think about if the player's going to get stuck, if it's going to damage the experience and whatnot. And sometimes trivial things become really important things that we need.
And I remember when he made that thing, like how happy I was just for a freaking hatch.
We were all happy.
We were just like, oh my god, this is insane. It's like we almost went out for a beer or something, you know.
경찰서 털었을 때 시체들을 하원풍구에 전부 숨겨놓은 나도 그랬던 것 같은데.
Here, another cutscene where Jensen's going to interact with a potential enemy. And I remember having discussion with Jesse Sweet, our cinematic director, back in the day, because the constraint I gave him is that I didn't want Jensen in any cutscene with a gun, because we don't know what the player's going to have. And for me, it was really important that the cutscenes were keeping the character that you were building consistent with when we were going into those moments. So for him, it was a real challenge to still have Jensen look badass, and then but not using a gun. And that's why in this one we see with the hacker is that Jensen pulls out his blade from his arm, so it was a way to compensate for the lack of gun.
이 씬 나 충격이었는데 처음 봤을 때. 나름 충격이었어.
Adam, it's David. You got the Typhoon?
Yeah, but you were right about there being something more behind this. Because I've also got a dead Puritan.
보관함. 이 존나 크네. 이게 크구나.
Just in here with some pretty interesting cerebral implants.
Don't touch them.
근데 인터페이스가 약간 바뀐 것 같기도 하고.
We'll need an expert to recover his neural hub in case it's booby-trapped.
Copy that. What about Sanders?
SWAT's pressure me to let them off the leash. Find them before they do, and deal with them.
꽉 찼어? 끝내주러 갈게요. Warning, no authorized personnel beyond this point. 오케이. 나는 젠슨이니까 가도 되지. Head office. 또 있네.
So here in manufacturing plan, we get close to the bridge where we have the police forces that are. So here in manufacturing plan, we get close to the bridge where we have the police forces that are fighting the Purity First.
Storming the plant.
Terrorists, they are storming the plant. And I wanted so badly to have this piece of show don't tell where now that the police are pressuring in the facility and everything, but with playtest we saw that most players never really saw what was happening. Like it was too
it was under their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
A lot of ideas during level design itself we wanted to have.
아 뭐야 잘 듣고 있네.
So here in manufacturing plant, we get close to the bridge where we have the police forces that are fighting the purity first.
Storming the plant.
너무 밑에 있어서
Terrorists
잘
are
안
storming the
본대.
plant. And I wanted so badly to have this piece of show don't tell where now that the police are pressuring in the facility and everything, but with playtest we saw that most players never really saw what was happening. Like it was too
it was under their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
A lot of ideas during level design itself. We wanted to have windows. We wanted to show how do we showcase this type of event, but this event was only on paper, so it was very hard to actually make sure that every single player was seeing it, and the whole AI versus AI came very, very, very late, right, Pat?
Yeah, like the AI programmer will probably have a different story to that, but you needed to have a faction system when you need to turn like enemies or NPC, they were neutral and they have to know who they are neutral to and who they can attack. So by having like Jensen like taking control of a turret and say this turret now attacks the enemy has to know who is now like used to be his friend, the turret was a friend, now it becomes an enemy. So we had
Sounds
that
like
as a
Facebook.
Yeah, so we had that system, and that's the beauty with Deus Ex, where we built systemic features, and then the AI could fight against each other, even if we didn't put too much love. I think it came at a cost, of a low cost, but the production might not be impressive, like we wish, like you wish.
One of the concerns as well is that we didn't want to have the player interact with those guys. We really wanted to have AI versus AI and leave them independent. So just because of that, we had to make sure the player was enclosed in a very safe environment. Thus, the infamous corridor with the glass
with the glass floor that no woman is ever going to want to walk over.
Why?
그런 히스토리가 있구만요. 이거 노빠꾸로 갈게요. 세이브 안 하고. 세이브 안 하고 맞짱 들게요. 뭐 결과 어떻게 되든지. 그대로 인브레이스. 오씨. 끝난 줄 알았네. 이거 다 힌트지? 증거를 하나도 못 찾았어요 여기서. 뭔가 증거를 못 찾았네. 헬로 베이브. 꺼져. 이거 원래 이렇게 저게 없었는데? 제가 알기로 저게 없었거든요? 뭐라 해야지? 이게 렉이 없었는데 이렇게 테이크다운 들어가는 씬에서. 그러니까 좀 오히려 좀 디렉터즈 에디션이 좀 최적화가 더 안 좋다는 얘기는 들었던 것 같아요. 저도. 어디선가 들었던 것 같아요. 팍! 어떻게 봤어? 날 어떻게 봤지? 일로 와, 일로 와, 일로 와. 너 잘 걸렸다. 일로 와라. 문을 훅 닫으면 쫓아오겠지? 쫓아오겠지, 이러면? 오케이. 올라, 이 새끼야. 하나 던져야겠니, 이렇게? 이렇게 던지면 올 거니? 뭐야, 저 어디가? 어디가, 임마! 한 놈만 오나? 너 일로 와.
I think it came from around here.
여기 있다, 이 새끼야. 죽어. 이제. 아, 뭐야, 왜 발각된 거야? 아, 왜 걸림? 얼탱이 없네? 왜 걸린 거임? 아, 이거 좀 어이없네? 왜 걸린 거야? 중국 친구가 누굴까? 뭔가 지금 도와주는 친구들이 있는 거예요. 지금 내가 봤을 때 누군가 도와주고 있어. 외부에서 누가 도와주고 있어. 여기 컴퓨터 되게 많았던 걸로 기억하는데? 그치, 맞지? 이렇게. 다 뜯어봐야지. 아, 그래도 이거 아니 반응이 빠른 걸 떠나서 이상하다. 내가 쟤 총 쏘기 전에 잡았는데. 씨발 몰라. 해킹이나 다 하자. 내가 먼저 간다. Access granted.
Access granted.
캔 음료 갖고 지랄하네. 먹을 수도 있지 뭐. 그치? 네. 먹을 수도 있는 거 아니야? 달러. 킹은 내 전문이지. 쉣.
Access grant.
야, 경험치 덩어리들이 아주 많구만. 전부 다 해킹을 해야겠어. 세라가 누구야? 오, 둘이 부부야? 남편이 꿀 빠는데? 마누라가 더 포지션이 높은가 보네. 존나 꿀 빠네. 부럽다.
Access granted.
타이푼에 대한 내용인 것 같아.
Access granted.
읽었던 메일들. 데이어스엑스의 음악이 정말 좋았던 기억이 나네. 예, 저는 음악 좋았던 게 솔직히 저거 음악은 잘 기억이 안 나요. 저기 이거 다음에 나온 거 있잖아. 맨카인드 디바인드는 솔직히 제가 하긴 할 건데 좀 뭐라 해야지? 좀 이렇게 깊은 맛은 없는 것 같아. 좀 몰입을 잘 못했던 걸로 내가 기억하고. 깨긴 깼는데. 요 시리즈랑 오리지널이 제일 재밌게 했던 것 같아요. 오리지널도 음악 되게 좋았던 것 같아요. 그 당시 기준으로. 음악 진짜 좋았어, 오리지널. 네, 맨카인드 좀 뭐라 말로 좀 형용하기 힘든데 모르겠어요. 근데 그것도 제가 영어로만 해봐서 그냥 한글로 하려고요. 어차피 이거랑 끝은 봐야 하니까 그것까지 할 거야. 그것까지 하고 레지던트 이블 리메이크 하고 하여튼 그렇게 하려고. 근데 이것도 내가 봤을 때 이거 코멘터리 다 들으면서 하면 시간 엄청 오래 걸릴 것 같은데. 한동안은 그러니까 요거 한다 보시면 돼요. 자주 놀러 오세요, 앤드류님. 오랜만에. 한동안은 요거 할 거야.
Access granted.
아, 별 내용은 없고 다 읽었네요. 오케이, 갑시다. 저는 왜 후속작의 주인공 얼굴 표정이 더 후속작의 주인공 얼굴 표정 뭐? 맨카인드 디바이드?
Yeah, so here as you can see in this office building there is a sea full of computers. And as you also know, we had to write emails for every single computer that existed in the game. And one of the big challenges we had in doing that was that we never quite knew ahead of time how many computers there would be. There was the level design was coming to us and saying, you know, we need to know how many emails, how many computers you want, and we were saying to level design, well, we need to know how many computers you intend to put in there, and no one would actually make a decision. And we were doing it so late in the process as well that when we actually sat down there to write them, we weren't really sure at that point how many computers there would be. So it was pretty interesting until we finally got our communication straight and were able to say, okay, look, can you give me a few more computers? Or could you take away a few computers? Because we just don't quite have it down. So that was a really big challenge, and we learned an awful lot through the process, so we got it right with the DLC, The Missing Link.
Speaking of computers as well, something that we could add, because again, it's something that people sometimes don't think about, how something simple, something that looks simple is actually very complicated. Is that, in the game we have the interactive computers, right? The ones that you're talking about now. We have the security hubs, the blue ones that are also interactive. And there's the how do you say, the props computers, the ones that are just for
filling the world,
like the ones that you cannot use. And it actually, these things generate very complex problems, because especially with someone like Jeff as a game director, where he wants everything to be very clear and systemic, you have to make sure that the visual language is very, very clear between the ones that you can use, the ones that you cannot use, and what their purposes are. And that created a bit of a...
Yeah, so here, as you can see, in this office building, there is a sea full of computers. And as you also know, we had to write emails for every single computer that existed in the game. And one of the big challenges we had in doing that was that we never quite knew ahead of time.
거의 다 읽은 거였. 거의 다 들은 거였겠지? 또 있네.
So we are about to enter the first social boss fight with Zeke Sanders. And actually, the story here is that early on, we decided that for some reasons that I can't remember very.
선생님, 잠깐만 한 10분만 전화 와가지고 10분 정도만.
김치하고 조금만 뜯어줬어? 예. 밥 먹는 거 진짜 해. 당신은 다 먹었어? 차 치워 그럼? 어? 그냥 마셔?
Yep. 왔어요. 늦었다. 첫 번째 보스네.
Well, but we decided that you wouldn't be able to use the social augmentation against this guy, and that as we were fleshing out the upgrade system,
일부러 그 소셜 인터랙션 하는 거 이제 못 쓰게
not mapping out, but
작업을
establishing the pacing at which rhythm you would get the praxis kits or the praxis points, and that's why at the beginning of the game I'm not fully happy with how many praxis kits that you get as you move forward.
Well, if I remember correctly, this was the third social boss fight that we wrote, and at the time that we wrote it, we didn't even have the concept of praxis kits. You had to go to the limb clinic to get operated on, and so when we did
controlling
we knew that you wouldn't get augmented before that, and you'd have no chance to have the social log. So I think that's why we decided not to have it initially in this conversation, because we knew you wouldn't have had a chance to get it yet. And later we came in with the idea of the praxis kits, and at that point it became this issue of, oh wait, we have to make sure we don't give you two because you might have it and we don't support it.
And what happened is that, like I was just saying, what happened is that after that, at the beginning of the game, the pacing to get augmentations is too slow, and it's something that we're aware of and we're not happy with it, but because of those decisions and with what you explained, we were forced to keep it this way. So
일부러 프락시스 킷을 2개가 들어가게 해놨대요. 이거 소셜 이거 소셜 인터랙션을 일부러 그랬대. 일부러 그런 거래. 좀 그래도 좀 뭐라 해야 좀 내추럴한 것을 좀 처음에는 맛봐야지 않겠냐 해가지고 그렇게 알아들었거든요. 저는 인공 근육. 그렇답니다.
So here, one of the interesting cutscenes where actually I remember us debating about the fact that everybody in this world were thin. There was no fat people and everything. And since with our skeleton and etc. for all the NPCs in the world, we knew that we couldn't address that thing, and we said, well, at least there might be an opportunity to put some, in some instances, like in cutscenes, to cover the fact that it's not everybody in the world that is thin, right?
Yeah, and we really wanted Josie to be the manager of this to be slightly heavier than
얘네가 말하는 게 이렇게 그 컨버세이션 그런 느낌은 아니라서 좀 어려운 표현이 많더라고 생각보다.
Yeah, but it was a tough one. But finally we managed to make her.
미국 외 사람들이 잘 안 쓰는 수거 같은 게 많아가지고 진짜 못 알아듣는 게 많더라고.
Yeah, and I remember that there were were certain people on the team who really were against it, and they were just saying it'll look weird visually, and having a really thin terrorist with this heavy woman just won't work. And I never quite understood the heart of those things. But in the end, it works out really well. And it makes for a really good hostage situation, which is definitely improved.
Yeah, for me, I was loving this. This is one of my favorite scenes because I said, you know, from sound point, there was so much to play with because you got the riot, well, terrorist attack that's sort of happening outside, but you got, you know, the riot police coming in to handle it. You got cops coming in. You've got a hostage situation. So I mean, the tension level's on 10, which is great. The one thing that was funny when the scene first came to me is we had almost nothing of Josie crying and whimpering, and I thought for a situation like this, the hostage should definitely be like sobbing and whimpering through the whole thing. So we started by adding that, which brought a lot of life to her
처음에는 저
character.
여자의 그
Even when there's nothing going
리액션이
on,
없었대 아예. 좀
and
어색해가지고 이해하
I
씨가 좀
remember I
추가해야 할
think we
것
worked a
같다고.
week just getting the timing for the sound. There's a point where a helicopter beam comes right through the room, and I wanted the sound of the helicopter to come with it, to come really close, so it sounded like, you know, they're just, you know, patrolling around and waiting for this guy. That took like almost a week, and again, like JF always says, it's funny how what seems to be the simplest thing can cause so much headaches and be so complicated. Like you're like, we're just syncing a damn light with a sound, but it took forever. But once all the elements came in, this was one of my favorite scenes in the game because I love the actor who played Zeke. I thought he was so good. And his performance, along with Jensen's performance, all the sound, the outside stimuli, her sobbing, it just brought the whole thing together.
이해하 씨 마음에 든다네.
The only thing augmented goons like you care about is gaining the
씬이
advantage.
마음에 든대. 뭔가 다 조화롭게 잘 된 것 같아서. 사운드 디렉터인가 봐, 저 아저씨. 사운드 디렉터 같은데. 아 근데 이거 떠들 때 자막이 안 나오냐? 나 못 알아듣는데 그럼 풀로? 잠깐만. 얘가 뭘 하는지 나 모르는데 지금.
Nothing else to say.
있어. 잠깐만. 할 말 있어. 할 말 있어.
The only thing the cops are focused on right now is the safety of the civilians. Same as you. You've risked your life to do what's best for other people. You're not some drive-by banger.
공감한다.
I know that. The question is, do they? The cause is blowing up all around me. My brother's at risk. All because of what that traitor did to us tonight. I've got to fix it, but I can't when I'm stuck in here with you.
너무 자네가 자네 형을 믿는다는 걸 알았기 때문에 형에 대해서 좀 애틋한 감정이 있지. 코놈에게는 자네를 죽게 만들어. 너무 자네가 자네 형을 믿는다는 걸 알았기 때문에 이거. 오케이, 설득해보자.
Listen, the hacker's plan was for you to die. He knew there would be civilians here tonight. He thought of everything. He used your brother because he knew you would trust him. That's how well he knows you. He expected you to take a hostage, just like he knew the cops would kill you for it.
You're right. Damn. You know, he even asked me once about hostages.
성공했어.
I told him I would if I had to. I thought I had to here, but I can't afford to, can I?
좋아.
Go on, get out of here. You're free to go. I did what you wanted, so let me go. I got played here too, I see.
I've got as much interest in finding out who's really behind this as you do, cabron.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll owe you one. But I promise you this, someone's gonna pay.
아, 깔끔하네.
Adam.
좋아.
Adam, what's happening? What's your situation?
좋아.
Adam.
Sanders is gone, boss. But I'm pretty sure he's just a dupe. Somebody else set this up.
Damn it. Okay, I want you back here now. The admin building has a rooftop terrace. Meet Farida on it.
Copy.
깔끔합니다. 좋았어요.
out.
언제 들어왔니 얘네? 나 지금 봤는데? 언제 들어왔니? 코멘터리 어딨어? 코멘터리 좀 듣자. 어딨어? 야 코멘터리.
So this particular computer here is one of the important ones in light of the fact that it is the first computer in the game where you can actually find our first Nigerian email scam. We had a lot of fun with the emails, trying to make it feel like it's a real part of the world and like the world we know. And so you can actually find on every map one Nigerian email somewhere in the map. And in the Hangsha map, there's actually a computer that you can find where you find the person who originated the Nigerian email scam, and his computer lists every single computer in the game that has it. So we were actually debating whether we would make it an achievement to find him, but in the end we kind of cut that one off of the list.
나 그거 몰랐는데? 아 그래요? 하여튼 이거 저 여자가 제가 알기로 저 작가인데 이거 스크립트 쓰는 작가, 리드 작가인데 그 가끔 컴퓨터마다 그 스팸 메일을 일부러 넣어놨대. 스팸 메일처럼 보이는 거를. 이거 419 메일. 이거 스팸 메일. 나이지리아 상공회. 온 맵에 다 몇 개 컴퓨터에 이렇게 들어와 있대. 똑같은 메일이. 저 아줌마가 조시 소프인가 봐. 아 진짜? 앤드류님 나 고마워. 나 그거 몰랐네. 지금 집중해서 잘한 거지. 이거 지금 최고의 결과 아니야? 최상의 결과로 알고 있는데 내가 알기로. 그냥 우리는 결말을 아니까 게임. 이게 제일 좋은 결말 아니야 지금? 요 상황에서? 물론 이 상황에서 보면 제가 체포되고 저 여자가 안 죽어야겠지만 이 스토리상 제가 살아야 좀 매끄러운 거 아니야? 제가 살아나요? 샌더스가? 그 나중에 나도 도움 받는 거 아니야? 하여튼 지금 사리프 인더스트리에서는 이 군용 타이푼 기술이 그러니까 대외적으로는 이제 좀 캐시카우가 되려고 이렇게 캐시카우로 좀 밀고 있나 봐요. 군용품들은 군용 제품들. 그래서 그거에 대해서 좀 압박을 했네 이 아줌마한테.
Are you alright?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Just a little
네
shaken
맞아요.
up.
다른 결말은 남자랑
What
싸워서
about
죽이는
other
거였어. 맞아
hostages?
맞아.
My husband
처음엔
was
내가
with them
죽였던 것 같아 그냥.
in one of the assembly labs, and I overheard talk about a bomb.
I'm sorry.
남편 뒤졌다. 미안하다.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
나 때문이야.
It can't be true.
내가
Where were the police?
꼼지를 꺼내서 그래.
Why didn't they come in?
내가
They
잘못한
could have
거야.
saved him.
I'm sorry.
내가 늦었어. 미안해. 미안해 아줌마.
Where were the police in all of this?
아니야 내가 잘못한 거야.
Way to secure the terrorist leader, Jensen. Now the bastard's free to spread his lies and cause more trouble.
내가 잘못했어 아줌마 미안해. 아줌마 내 잘못이야. 내 잘못이야 아줌마. 아줌마 잘못 없어. 경찰 잘못 없어. 내가 잘못한 거. 존나 웃겨. 지성 내가 잘못함. 아 진짜? 남편 이름도 안 나오던데 아까 이미 죽어 있어서 누가 누군지도 몰라. 아 이 새끼 코로나 이 새끼야 재채기하지 마.
to secure the terrorist leader, Jensen. Can't believe they made us wait out here while the leader of these
뭐하노 이 새끼?
Gonna lose the bastard! I was ready to come in here with a bucket and a mop.
얘 뭐하냐? 수고해라. 간다. 형 간다. 아, 또 있네.
Well, so that's the end of the mission in manufacturing plant, and maybe a lot of players didn't know that, but actually you can go back into the plant now that the mission is over. The police officers just took over the plant.
Yes, they won the battle.
Yeah, they won the
bridge.
battle, and if you go back, you can go back until the beginning of the map and meet a lot of police officers along the way. You even have one police officer that is taking picture of the hacker that killed himself in front of you, and you can talk to all of them, and they have their barks and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It is, and most people don't realize they can do that.
And to me, it was really important because it was like it's a game where you can go where you want, whenever you want, and we should maintain the logic of the story regardless. Well, so that's the end of the mission in manufacturing plant, and maybe a lot of players didn't know that, but actually you can go back into the plant now that the mission is over. The police officers just took over the plant.
Yes, they won the battle.
Yeah, they won the
bridge.
battle, and if you go back, you can go back until the beginning of the map and meet a lot of police officers along the way. You even have one police officer that is taking picture of the hacker that killed himself in front of you, and you can talk to all of them, and they have their barks and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and most people don't realize they can do that.
And to me, it was really important because it was like it's a game where you can go where you want, whenever you want, and we should maintain the logic of the story regardless of what you do. And I remember that what I wanted was giving a lot of headaches to the level designers, but also to the writers as well, because they had to write more about these things. So in a couple of places in the game we didn't do it, and with the storytelling of what was happening, we were kind of sort of justifying that there's no way back. But as much as possible, it was a rule of thumb, like, okay, we're at the end of the map, we need to support going back at the beginning. But this is the one that we did it the best.
And I remember the level designers kept trying to come back to you with, well, can we cut him off at the elevator?
No.
Maybe we can cut him off here.
No.
But what if we stop him here?
No.
but we could put like a barricade from the police.
No.
And that... Thanks
was
to
it.
JF, you can go back and find all those goodies.
Again, like, is it important or not? For me, was more the attention.
한번 가볼까?
to detail
선생님
and
이거
trying
코멘터리만
to
끝나고
keep
한번
the
돌아보자
credibility
그럼.
of the plays and stuff. So.
돌아보자. 가보자. 이거 가고 저기 셀프 인더스트리 가면 거기 저장하고 오늘은 거기까지만 할게. 내일 또 오세요. 내일 또. 나 궁금한데? 내가 궁금해졌는데 잠깐만. 아 내일 못 오세요? 한동안은 내가 계속 이거 할 거 같아. 시간 존나 오래 걸려. 귀찮다. 가자 그냥. 저렇게 서 있을 거 아니야? 귀찮다. 언제 뒤로 가니? 귀찮아. 갑자기 귀찮아졌다. 가자. 회사로 가자.
Not quite what you signed up for, is it, Jensen?
Excuse me?
Sneaking into your own factory to hide stuff while the boss holds the cops at bay? Don't get me wrong, I love Mr. Seraph. I just hate it when contracts become more important than people. I thought you did too.
말리, 네가 세상을 알아?
Sorry to break it to you, Malik, but that's just the way the world is.
Doesn't mean I have to like it. You ready to go?
가자.
Yeah, get me out of here, Malik.
Your wish is my command.
들어가자.
Climb in.
아무도 안 죽였다 그래도 선생님 나 킬 안 했다. 아무도 안 죽였다. 성공했어. 아무도 안 죽였어. 말포이가 아니야. 말포이의 이모 말릭이었다 한다. 말포이 아니야. 말릭이야. 난 이 음악이 좋아. 지금 나오는 음악이죠. 이게 메인 메뉴 가면 그 나오는 저거잖아. 나 이 음악이 제일 좋아. 이카루스보다 난 이게 좋더라.
New orders just in, Jensen. The boss wants Pritchard to examine the Typhoon ASAP.
Copy that. Thanks for the lift.
No problem. Hey, and Jensen, I just wanted to say.
난 저 점이 피어싱이었다는 게 너무 웃겨.
Like you haven't missed a beat at all.
Thanks.
So, how's it
디렉터는
feel?
피어싱으로
Being
의도하고 저기
augmented.
점 박아놓은 건데 저기
Don't take it the
피어싱을
wrong
박아놓은
way.
건데
I mean, I've got a
사람들은
few
다
neuro
점인 줄
enhancements
알았다.
myself, discreet ones to help me fly better. But I chose to get them
진짜 빵
implanted.
터졌네.
You didn't.
아,
Now that you had a
개빵
chance to try them out, what do you think?
그러니까 피어싱이라는데?
I'm not gonna lie and say they didn't come in handy back there.
그러니까 피어싱 치곤 너무
Like you
작아.
said, I
내가
didn't
봐도.
choose to get augmented.
So it'll take some getting used to. I get it. But don't be surprised if the boss keeps pushing you to get more.
Why? What do you mean?
You know how he is. He thinks augmentations are the be-all, end-all of everything. And he can't understand why someone wouldn't want to become more than human.
Megan used to say the same thing.
I'm not surprised. The research she was doing was pretty damn inspired. Might have convinced a lot more people to give what we make here a try.
If that bastard hadn't killed her.
Listen, Jensen. I know you want to find the men who attacked us, and so do I. If I can help in any way, all you gotta do is ask.
Actually, there is something. I want to know about the first attack.
Fine. Ask away.
I've been thinking about why they attacked. What they were really after.
Isn't it obvious? They didn't want us going to Washington.
No, that was just timing. Hearings can be rescheduled. Somebody else can present Megan's findings.
I don't think so, Jensen. They took out her whole team. Declan Faraday, Vasily Savchenko, Nia Colvin, even Eric Koss. The labs their bodies were found in.
Were burned to a crisp. I know.
The only reason you weren't caught in the
저도.
fire was because that retaining wall came down.
지금도 들어요, 저는.
Saved your life, believe it or not.
So
그러니까
the
내가
whole
이게
attack
그
was just to destroy Megan's research.
Sure looks that way.
자,
Mr.
컨셉이
Serap's hoping to
너무
reconstruct
컨셉이
it, but
너무
it may
좋은
take
게
months.
뭐냐면
If he can keep us solvent that long.
저런 거 있잖아요. 이 컬러랑 컬러가 계속 금빛이 돌잖아. 금빛 도는 컬러랑 물론 이 금빛 도는 그 컬러감을 좀 죽였다고는 하더라고. 디렉터스 컷 하면서 좀
Did anyone
죽여놨다고
else see
하더라고.
them? The men who attacked?
Not well enough to get a
그거랑
description.
불금도 잘
Pritchard got some
들어보면
fuzzy images off one of the
계속 뭔가
telecams, but his
그
tapes were all confiscated by Homeland Security.
백단에서 그 약간
I heard
하는
homicide
느낌이
passed
깔려
over
있어.
special
계속.
investigations. Detroit Special Investigations.
They did, for the first month. After that, all I really know is the case is still pending, and Mr. Seraph is not pleased.
You were there that night. What do you remember about it?
That it was chaos. First, everybody figured there'd been some kind of accident, but Pritchard couldn't get a good visual and communications were haywire. Then we heard the explosions. By the time anyone knew what had hit us,
They were gone.
whoever they were good, Jensen. Special training good.
I'm gonna find them, Malik. One way or another.
I believe you. And just so you know, when you do, I've got your back.
I appreciate that, Malik, but right now...
You've got to get the Typhoon into the tech lab, right. See you later, then. Oh, and Jensen, the boss wants a face-to-face debrief in his office once it's secure.
Roger that. Good night, Malik.
지금 퀘스트가 뭐냐? 아, 또 있어.
So here's the VTOL or the VTOL, Adam's chopper or Farida's chopper. This is definitely one of the pieces of hardware that I really prefer in the game. I mean, one of my favorite ones. I think it's a perfect mix of really almost hardcore sci-fi design, yet with a lot of credibility to it, where you can easily imagine this is where things would go, you know, in 20 or 30 years from now. I just really love it. I've always wanted to make a little, you know, model of it, you know, kind of like a scratch build with buying,
it looks really good.
It looks really good. Just buying pieces of model kits from airplanes and stuff like that, and just like from the pieces actually build that. And yeah, it has a lot of character, and that's it. I really like it.
And speaking of character, since the VTOL is also very much associated with Farida
yeah.
Malik, Farida was actually a character who was not originally thought to be a very important character in the game. I think it took a long time before we actually gave her a name. In fact, at first we were calling her Farina, but then everyone here was saying Mary. That
이거
means
들었던
wheat
거잖아.
in
잠깐만 이거
French.
지금
And
들었던
it's
거네.
flour. It's flour in French. It can't be that
거.
and everything. So, but she really wasn't intended to be this big character at all in the game. And then as we continued developing the game and writing the scripts and starting to add more player choice into dialogues,
해킹에도 안 털리나?
she ended up becoming,
적대 안 돼?
and it makes sense when you think about it because she's one of your constant companions. So she ended up coming
해킹 왜안 돼? 나 해킹 레벨
within the
2인데?
development process itself, developing into a very big character. And I think our original back.
나 해킹 레벨 2인데? 이거 왜 안 되냐? 씨발 나 잘못 찍었다. 야 이거 찍는 게 아니네. 좋겠다. 야 하나 날렸다. 짜증나.
Story 4 with.
잘못 찍었다. 씨. 빡쳐. 잠깐만. 이걸 찍었어야 했는데. 잘못 찍었네.
She was supposed to be
하나 날렸어. 잘못 찍었어.
And we originally wanted to have her use Arabic language and swear words and everything.
We tried it.
But then when we cast, we ended up casting the actress as
잘못 찍었어.
100% American.
Well, because here's the thing, what I remember is, and you had a strong affection for the character because it was based on
이거
the
제가
Battlestar Galactica.
멍청해서 실수했네 이거.
Based. You were saying as a reference.
A little bit.
It was
like
Star Wars.
as a reference.
So
Yeah.
we had that, but then she's got to be.
이거 적대되지 않아 해킹하면?
So we had found the actress and we loved what she brought, and she had that sort of tough, kind of tomboyish sort of way about her, and we really loved everything about it. But every time we would have dialogue where she'd have to swear in Arabic to kind of give her that, you know, where she comes from, it just always sounded really forced. It just never worked. Like she would nail the pronunciation, but it's just. You know, it's not natural.
We pretty much figured the first time that she did it that was like, okay, we're dropping all that right now, and we're just going with the American.
Yeah, Mary quickly adapted it. We kept the character. We kept her origins. We just removed the swearing from the Arabic language and kept her North American, and it worked well.
Yeah.
Also, another thing. The thing on her face above her lip, like actually in the game, it looks like
끄는 거 있었으면
like a beauty mark, but it's
꺼지지가 않아.
supposed to be a monroe piercing, and it just didn't really come out all that well in the game. So everybody, like, there's a lot of fan art about Farida, and they put a beauty mark, but it's supposed to be a little piercing. Really.
Now you know the truth.
Now you know the truth.
Piercing.
Say that again.
I always thought it was a piercing.
Cool. So we were too, thinking it was a piercing.
끄는 거 없어. 그래서 듣는 거야 이거. 잘 눌러야 돼. 잘 눌러야 돼. 라일 로저스가 저기 뭐 홍보팀 이런 데인가 보네. 홍보팀 애들인가 보다. 뭔가 이 홍보팀 애인가 봐요. 부서 무슨 부서인지 약간 그런 이름이 있나? 부서 이름 써있나? 그런 거 없지, 그치? 아이씨, 이거 어느 방 해킹했는지 헷갈리니까 이거 문을 다 열어놓자. 아니다. 여기까지 하고 내일 하여튼 오면 저기 좀 진행을 할게요. 계속. 오늘 여기까지만 하죠. 이거 생각보다 오래 걸리겠다 깨는데. 내일 뭐 또 뭐 알람 켜두시고 뭐 오면 또 뭐 알람 오면 또 놀러 오세요. 내가 정확히 몇 시에 킬지 모르겠네. 낮부터 할 것 같은데 제가 아침엔 좀 나가야 돼서. 일단 뭐 여기까지 할게요 오늘. 안녕. 아 서준님 안녕하세요. 아 나 지금 봤네. 서준님 지금 봤어 제가. 앤드류님도 내일 봐요. 아 서준님 미안해요. 아 내가 지금 봤다. 제가 유튜브를 채팅을 못 보니까 늦었네. 아 죄송합니다. 여기까지 할게요.